at the
Stay a while and share your thoughts. Help us break down this mystery. Grab a seat, we guarantee you're in wonderful company. Unraveling these mysteries with Mr. and Mrs. E. With Mr. and Mrs. E.
launch sequence activated. Prepare for light speed.
Keeping the missing relevant with Mr. E, Mrs. E. Let's not forget the sweet and E, and of course the best granny. Unraveling these mysteries. Stay a while and share your thoughts. Help us break down this mystery. Grab a seat, we guarantee you're in wonderful company. Unraveling these mysteries with Mr. and Mrs. E.
Auntie, is that you? Yes. Bring in the crime dogs. It's time.
Unraveling these mysteries. Stay a while and share your thoughts. Help us break down this mystery. Grab a seat, we guarantee you're in wonderful company. Unraveling these mysteries with Mr. and Mrs. E. Unraveling these mysteries with Mr. and Mrs. E.
Welcome into the Mystery Crimecast, everyone. I am Mr. E. I am joined, of course, by Mrs. E and our guest, Aunt E. How are you doing there, Auntie? You got a different
Hello.
background.
Yeah, I'm got company coming this weekend, so was cleaning and I couldn't set up my normal family room picture. So now you got the background of nothing. This is the same one I used when I had the Christmas tree in the background over here.
Oh, right.
But yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of boring.
I can see your. Is it Mrs. Pac-Man? Yep.
Yeah. The corner of Mrs. Pac-Man.
Yeah, I was consider getting one of those to have around, but do people actually play it?
Yes, actually,
When
every
our
time the
kids are
kids
there.
come over.
I was gonna say whenever our kids are there, they play it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I was worried though. That it's one of those things you think it would be so cool, and then once you actually have it, you never actually use it.
It's actually really fun. I want to get a Miss Pac-Man stool or Mr. Pac-Man stool to put there, just so it's easier to sit there and do it. Because right now it's just it's open and you just
Yeah.
have to stand and do it. But
Right.
my son's got the full size one and like the actual arcade full size one, and his is huge. So mine's not quite that big.
Yeah, I don't know where were we one time we saw a place selling them like used
I don't know.
at a fair or something.
Probably a flea market. Sometimes you'll
don't
see
know.
people that work on them and then they sell them and resell them. And they're the coolest things, but you can buy them like at Costco and places like that at Christmas. And they're not actually the true big cabinet heavy ones, but they're pretty nice. That's what I have.
Yeah, I don't know but some of them were in better condition than others, and some of them were thousands of dollars, to purchase, and then some of them that were not working that well.
You've got to.
My mic is not great, is it?
I can hear fine.
Well, Middle East started messing with the mics the other night to try to help us because we were having trouble, and it has sounded crackly and weird ever since to us. You guys might not notice it, but we notice it.
I can tell.
And
It's a little tinny to me.
It's jarring. It's jarring to both of us.
Yeah, I can hear it.
It sounds okay from this end.
But you could set up by the pool.
I know I could be outside, but you never know when somebody's going to start mowing or something crazy happens, and
Running water and all that too would probably be picked up, I would guess.
Yeah.
That's true.
because the spa is always bubbling.
But anyway, let's welcome our folks in. I'd like to welcome everybody for being I'm going to annoy
Yeah,
Mrs. E with the sound.
it's not just family chat, huh?
She keeps looking at me every time I speak. It's like sensory overload or something. Maybe it's our headsets. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Ginger for Ob said it sounds great on her end, so that's good.
And good to see you, Ginger for Ob, and one of our mods, and Real Me Too, Dreaming of Blue Skies, Sandy Beaches. We appreciate your help, of course. Busy Mama, Truth Hurts Sometimes with the Green Hearts, Just a Girl Who Loves Frogs. He's also a great follow on X if you follow them
funny,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Who was it?
Just a Girl Who Loves Frogs.
Oh,
Yeah.
I follow her. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great follow on X. Several of you are very active there, and I spent a lot of time with the account there too. Irony Rose, Sassy T, West End, Jen in Georgia, Mom First Always, West. Oh, I think I said West End.
Did you say Truth Hurts Sometimes?
I did not see that one.
Or Corey Morris?
Or Rubicon
Or
You haven't seen
Memo.
Rubicon?
I'm so happy Memo's here. Yeah.
Just River P2
and
Yeah.
Rubicon. Have you gotten that far up yet?
I don't know where I'm somewhere around.
Thank you. She said she liked my hair. I hadn't fixed it today. I got out of bed and brushed it. That's as far as I've gone today with it.
I swear.
I just kind of go somewhere at random and start saying hello to people. Joanne McNeil and Angel of Light just recently hopped in there, and Terry DeVoe, Mrs. Magoo. Good to see everybody here. We appreciate you joining us
You
all.
see Sassy.
Baba Rose. Hello, Baba
Hello.
Rose.
Sassy T, Mom First Always. I'm just scrolling up. Jen in Georgia.
Angel of Light. Joanne McNeil.
And you guys, we need to pray for Dreaming of Blue Skies. She's having some neck problems and having to have therapy 7 days a week, and it's very
Aw.
uncomfortable. So let's put up some prayer hands for her, please. Yeah, she says she's been doing therapy 7 days a week on her neck. It's been rough some days, but praying and believing for better days.
I know those back problems and neck problems and things like that just can be so tough.
Real Me Too said that Megan Boswell will be sentenced in September now.
Oh, my stars.
They just keep pushing it down the road, don't they?
Megan Boswell's in September. Oh yeah, we could have talked about her a little bit today.
And
We're gonna be all over the place a little
yeah.
bit today.
Terry,
And I did find there was one person I did want to talk about that was a missing child too that I forgot about. I had looked at him the other day, but it does relate well to this. It's actually the original missing child that was the first one on the milk cartons. He was never found, and that's a really intriguing case.
Was it ever solved?
No. But the allegations were about some trafficking and different things there, but it was never solved. His name was Johnny Gosch or it's Gosch. That was one. It was like back in the 80s. And I remembered it and I was like, oh, that's a one that was a missing child way back a long time ago that was never solved. But there's a lot of rumors that swirled around about it.
Well, I've got a little of his information up on one of the tabs here. When you want to talk about it, let me know and we'll switch over to him.
Okay.
And I want to say hi to Gina M and Show Poodles and Opal Sisk. And we already said hello to Baba Rose, but hello again. Karen Alberini and Irony Rose. Love it, love it. Oh my goodness.
Ginger for Ob.
Ginger for Ob. Thank you so much. That makes my day. I really
That's
do
very nice.
appreciate it.
We appreciate the support that way. That does help out a lot. We do appreciate
Well,
it.
I think she deserves a song.
Got to get the song.
If you received a membership from Ginger for Ob, please tell her thank you. And Ginger, we appreciate it from the bottom of our heart. We really do. It does help us, I wouldn't say keep the lights on, but it helps us keep StreamYard running. So we appreciate that. And thank you so much. We love having memberships. And this song is for you, if I can find it. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, here we go.
We feel so blessed. Crime Dog memberships are the best. Thank you, what a gift. What a gift. What a gift. Thank you. So generous. So kind. So wonderful. You make our heart shine. Thank you. We feel so blessed. Crime Dog memberships are the best. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We feel so blessed. Crime Dog memberships are the best.
So thank you so much, Ginger, for all. We appreciate that very much. And if you are just joining us, if you wouldn't mind to take a moment to hit the like button, that does help in the algorithm for people to find our conversation. Since we're just getting started, we'd love for folks to join on. So I'm going to kind of explain a little bit about kind of where we want to go with we always try to do a little bit of a theme to all of our live streams. And what I wanted to, I need to turn that down.
Well,
Very
I
unprofessional
also
of
wanted
me.
to mention one more thing before you got started.
Sure.
This will be our last stream before we head to the beach. So,
Yay!
So we will.
That's a good thing.
We're going to live stream from the beach, guys. We talked about it, and we're going to bring our equipment and live stream from the beach. We do this every year where we share a beach house with our family, and we are going to go stream at the beach. So, I think it'll be fun. We'll be tan and red.
More red than tan.
Last time we were down there were shark attacks.
Right.
We were reporting on
in
that.
the water.
Oh, they were bad. They were bad the last time.
I know. I've been apprehensive about it.
Yeah.
Hi,
So
Seth.
hopefully it
Welcome
won't be as
in.
exciting this time.
Oh, and Mima became a member. Mima, thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you. And Seth Rogers, thank you for being here. I saw Jules from Allegedly Innocent is also here, one of our favorite channels.
Yes, I was listening to Jules this morning and I had to jump out and because there were, the kids are home for summer. So I had to stop what I was doing and I've got to go back and finish it. But it sounded awesome. And hello, Seth. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to listen to that one yet, but Jules is I don't miss it. I eventually listen to every Jules video that comes out. So I'll check that out later tonight, probably.
And before you talk, hello, Sharon, Marlowe, and Rosebud. Welcome in. It's nice to see you. and Leslie, Keep It Real, and Hen House. Oh my goodness, all of our friends, the Real Me Too's here, all the friends. Okay, I'll let you start.
So we don't usually do lives this time of day. This is kind of an unusual time for us. The kids are all at a movie
Yes.
together. So we've got a window there of silence in the home. So we're going to take advantage of that.
They could come in anytime.
Yeah, they could come in. Well, you'll know it when it happens, most likely, because all three coming in at once. So the idea of the stream is we wanted to look at these three missing person cases, kind of talk about the similarities between Summerwell, Sebastian Rogers, and the two kids, Lily and Jack in Nova Scotia, and kind of see where the comparisons patterns are. There's some differences that I think actually make some of the cases easier or more difficult to solve than others. There's some advantages to all three, and kind of looking at how those might go forward. And then really the main idea was to get into if this with all three of these cases, one of the similarities, of course, is that we haven't found any of them. No bodies, or whether they're alive or deceased, have been discovered, and what it would look like prosecuting cases like that if there is no body ever found, and if that's possible, and what strategies could be used. So we've got I've got a million tabs open again. We're going to go into some cases that from history with ways that these cases can be solved, because I think what happens with a lot of these is that DAs get scared and they don't want to bring charges, and they want perfection, and they wanted everything wrapped up in a neat little bow. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can bring charges and find justice even if these kids are never found. And there are a lot of creative ways that people have done this. Some will be obvious to you, and some were surprising to me as I was kind of researching today. But before we get into that, I do want to do the update on the Jack and Lilly Sullivan case, because this is kind of interesting. And if you are, I know some of you may have found our channel because you follow one of these three cases specifically. So if you're not familiar with Jack and Lilly, this is a fairly recent disappearance. It's a 4-year-old boy and his sister, who's 6 years old. This is in Nova Scotia and Lansdowne. A small little town, a small community, very rural. I think there's 100 people or so that live there. And they disappeared roughly 3 weeks ago. And the story from the parents is that sometime that morning, they could hear the children playing. They believe they walked out the sliding door and then vanished. Massive search. They brought in everyone. They in Canada, every missing person case is treated as suspicious, and so they have been running dual investigations, searching the countryside, very thick, treacherous woods, and also running their probably some form of criminal investigation as well until they can pin down exactly what happened. RCMP there. Royal Canadian Mounted Police, which is kind of like their FBI. They've been very tight-lipped, although if you kind of pay attention, you can kind of get a sense of what they're thinking. And so this was, I thought, huge today. Or this actually came out yesterday, but was new to me. So I'm going to play this, and hopefully the sound will be okay. I think we're good.
Melissa Scott's trail cameras might contain clues about the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan. RCMP asked her for days of footage as the investigation into the missing children approaches the 3-week mark.
It's scary, especially not knowing what happens. We definitely keep our kids a little closer to home now.
The 4- and 6-year-olds were reported missing from this home on May 2nd, launching a massive search of the woods surrounding the home. No trace has been found, and RCMP haven't ruled out the case is suspicious. This is some of the footage Scott gave police. She says RCMP major crimes officers came to her home this week, asking for everything on her 7 cameras, starting April 27th, 5 days before the kids were reported missing. 2 of Scott's neighbors were also asked to provide footage to RCMP. She says the officers also asked about her family's vehicles to rule out local traffic in the footage.
Possibly they are wondering if they didn't go missing earlier, or maybe somebody who isn't local to the area was around beforehand.
This road is the most direct path from Scott's property to the home the kids went missing from. We drove between the two places. It's about an 18-minute drive down rough dirt roads. Straight through the woods, it's about 5 kilometers.
I did mention to them that I was very happy to see them and glad that they were canvassing a little further and looking at trail cam footage. And they did respond saying that they probably should have been around earlier.
RCMP would not answer CBC's questions, including why they are seeking trail camera footage from before the disappearance and why they are identifying local vehicles. Nicola Sagan, CBC News, Glengarry Station, Nova Scotia.
So is that the first time y'all have seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
First time
And
for me.
also, I want to thank Ginger for being a member for 8 months. That's awesome.
Yes. Thank you, Ginger, for Rob, and we appreciate it.
We do appreciate you, and continue prayers for your precious son. Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Yes.
We still don't have an MRI scheduled, so don't get me started.
Which we're actually taking as a good sign
Yeah.
in a way that it's been 4 or 5 weeks. They said they wanted to do the MRI 4 to 6 weeks since the last one. And now we're like at 4 or 5 weeks and they're not really in a rush. So we're taking that to mean that they think it was just kind of being precautious or
Precautious.
Precautious. Not before
Being
you
cautious.
get cautious, you get precautious.
Precautious.
Overly cautious, I guess.
Well,
That's what we're kind of hoping for.
Jen and George has been a member for 6 months. Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you,
love
Jen
you
and George.
back. She says, love the crime dogs. And I actually am going to try to get these two to let's do a members only while we're at the beach and do
Oh,
like
that's
a
a good
trivia
idea.
or something. Oh, I hear Granny talking.
Yeah, they're downstairs talking.
She needs to come up and just be on the show. That's what we
Tell
that's what we
Mom
need.
I said
Did
hi.
you hear? She said sorry about that.
Hi, Mom.
It would balance out our screen to have that fourth guest.
Did you
Granny's
hear-
saying something? Hold on.
She said she's making a peach cobbler.
Oh, well, not is it? Are you bringing it to the beach or are you doing it for the house guests?
No, it's for the house guests.
Just
Yeah,
for-
I didn't think so.
Yeah, we don't get that kind of treatment.
No.
I'm sure she would make you one.
The hen house says
I want banana pudding.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that
better.
would be a good one.
Yeah,
Can
that
you
would be good.
bring the fixins for that with you.
We can do that.
hen house, who's also been a member for 4 months, is praying for Sebastian and sending prayers for Seth. Yeah, I know things are getting really tough for Seth, and the more and more time that goes on, it's got to be getting to a very frustrating point. Never hurts to be precautious
Nicey Marie.
Precarious.
or precarious.
Precarious.
I'm just making up words.
We're going to the beach. Yeah.
We are. You're
yeah.
going with us.
You
So
guys, we've decided if we
she was wanting to live stream the drive. I
I
don't
want to
know.
live stream the drive, but
not sure
'cause
about
we'll
that.
be in the car for several hours. But I don't think you guys want to hear the kids. But the kids kind of zone out with their headphones and stuff.
With my notes all up on the dashboard or
No.
post-it notes all over the try to keep up with what I'm going to talk about.
You could each
Um,
wear cams with hat cams, and then turn around and face each other so that you've got dual cameras going.
So
No.
I just wanted to go back to this update a little bit. So they are now outside of their radius. They're at 8 kilometers away.
That's a lot.
Talking to
farther.
people wanting they're wanting trail cams, and they're wanting to know about suspicious cars. And they're also looking at 5 days prior to the disappearance. So, that's telling you where their head is at, right? That they're thinking that maybe some assistance, maybe there was something that happened prior to that Friday, which I think most of us don't believe that story from the parents, that whatever we think happened didn't happen the way they described it. So it would be no surprise to me that the kids disappeared sometime Thursday, Wednesday, or Tuesday night after they were dropped off from the bus. But I think that's very interesting that that's the direction they're all heading at this point. Something else that's a little different, because we're going to be comparing these 3 cases.
Oh wow. Can I show? Hi, Nadia.
Mohawk mom, Alberta is getting rid of RCMP, getting their own cops, and Ottawa got rid of RCMP for our parliament. Now it is OPP taking care of the parliament in most provinces want them out. They aren't good.
Wow.
Wow.
Huh.
That's good. That's interesting information.
I know. Hi,
Um,
and welcome in Mohawk Mom and Tiffany or Tiff. I'll go with Tiff. Welcome in, and Becky Parmenter. I always mess
That's
that
the
up.
hardest name to say.
Nadia, if you don't mind me asking, what is the issue that they have with RCMP? They believe that they have low success rate in solving crimes, corruption. What are they? What is the issue that people have? Because I was unaware of that. But that's interesting. Some people I've heard, felt pretty good about RCMP and how they conduct investigations,
Right.
but I've heard that from a few detectives that have gone on different YouTube channels talking
Okay.
about them favorably.
So
but-
Mohawk Mom says no, they're not. Also, Parliament Hill has their own police security. And Nadia says there's some corruption. So maybe we'll just look into that and find out,
Yeah, a lot of things we are learning just about the way Canada operates that's so different than here. We have different assumptions. Like somebody said, one of the things we talked about with the Lily and Jack case was the little girl being homesick with a cough. Well, usually here, you don't really keep children home just for a cough a couple of days. You kind of do it with a fever. But in Canada, they would act. Someone was telling us that they would ask you to keep the children home because of fear of whooping cough. So then her staying home that Friday after being homesick Thursday would not be that unusual. So it's just things like that we just don't know, or that Child Protective Services has different names there. And, you just have these, slight cultural differences about investigations and everything. Angel Wings, thank you so much for becoming a member. We definitely appreciate the support.
Oh, thank you so
we've,
much.
We've got the best group around here.
While we're paused, can I play the Dog Pound song real quick?
Sure.
Hurry.
Sure.
We want
I'll
to
take a little sip.
welcome our new members. You can have. Did you tell them we're fasting again?
I don't think I mentioned it actually, but I'll be drinking a lot of tea and water to make up for that.
All right. Well, welcome to our new Dog Pound members.
Welcome to the Dog Pound. Your crime dog now, members only. Welcome to the Dog Pound. Your crime dog now, members only. Welcome to the pound, members only. Bow wow 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 doo doo doo.
Aw, thank you. Actually, I think Angel Wings was already a member. Maybe just renewed.
And
Nadia
had a little more information about the Parliament and the OPP.
The Parliament has some guards, but now the OPP that takes care of the ground of the Parliament, this OPP is recent.
Okay. Well, we'll have to check into all that. And like here, we know we have local police, you've got sheriffs, you've
City
got
police.
city police. I mean, then you've got FBI, you've got
TBI.
your
for
TBI
us.
or for you guys. And like we had Kentucky State Police, we didn't have TBI.
You
We
didn't
had
have a higher. You didn't.
Mm-mm.
Well, no, we have state police too in Tennessee,
Oh yeah,
and we have TBI. Are
I
you sure
don't
you didn't have
know.
a higher?
I don't know. I don't recall when I was living there that we did, but I'm not sure about where we're living now either exactly, because we don't really have any dealings with the cops, so it's kind of hard to know but I know we have FBI.
Thank you, R. Taylor. I think R. Taylor renewed her membership. Thank you so much. I hope you are doing well. We appreciate you so much. It really does help us.
Yes, thank you very much for that.
I love seeing all the friends. All the friends are here today.
Okay, this is a nice little description.
The OPP is Ontario Provincial Police, and QPP is Quebec Provincial Police. RCMP is all across Canada besides the city police agencies.
So RCMP is kind of
Quebec.
like the state police here.
Yeah, I
Would you
bet you're
say
right.
that?
Yeah, I bet you're right. It's kind of like that.
So that's local and then larger state. Yeah.
Perfectly imperfect boy mom mystery. I saw a notification. Autistic boy in Hendersonville boy found safe. Right as you went live, my heart dropped. It wasn't
I know.
Sebastian, but a boy named Lou. Bittersweet heart stop. Yes, he was only gone for a couple days, though, right?
Maybe not even a day.
Yeah.
I think it was yesterday he went missing.
Yeah, it was just a few hours later that the sister I saw updated on Facebook. Because when I heard about it, I went to go look it up, and he was already found at that point. So it was pretty. I don't know. They don't give the story, what happened to him, why he was gone. He was high functioning from what I read, and that it was surprising to them that he disappeared. And when you first see that, you're like, oh my gosh.
Well, hold your horses before you go forward, because R. Taylor just gifted us 5 memberships.
Wow. Thank you,
R. Taylor. That is so sweet of you.
I had a lot of new memberships today.
I know.
Very
that
much
makes me so
appreciated.
happy. If you received a new membership or a gifted membership from R. Taylor, please tell her thank you. She's a wonderful person, and we appreciate her so much. And Rosebud has, I think Rosebud was already a member, but maybe renewed. So thank you so much, Rosebud. We appreciate you as well. You guys are the best.
Thank you, Rosebud.
Let's see who got them. Let's see who got them. Oh my goodness, it's moving so fast. Oh, it looks like Nadia, Leslie, keeping it real. Oh, Charlene McPike, yay! It is what it is. And Mandy Dobitz, thank you. Or Dobitz, sorry.
So what I want to do here, I just want to play this interview. If you haven't been following this case, the reason there's so much suspicion is basically this interview. I think it'll tell you everything you need to know. So I just want to play that so we kind of know why there are some red flags around the family here. And this is the biological mother. She did this interview, had to have been day 2, I think, of the child being missing.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up. I heard them playing in the next room beside us. And I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up, and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. Sure. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now. But we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely verbal, and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just they have issues with school, and they don't catch up with the other kids. I just want to remain hopeful. But there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds.
Or most likely.
And I don't want to go through that another night without them.
So I just wanted to show that'll, if that is new to you, then that probably sounds very familiar. If you've been following Summer Wells or Sebastian Rogers, there's echoes of those parent interviews in that also. But if
you want to tell them about the new poll,
yes, so we're going to put up a poll here. Of these three cases, which do you think is the most likely to be solved or have resolution um, at some point? So between the Jack and Lilly Sullivan, Sebastian Rogers, and Summer Wells. The Summer Wells of the three is the one that I personally am the least familiar with. I wasn't really following that in real time. I've seen lots of videos about her since, but how that all progressed is a little bit new to me because I didn't, but I've been going through it a lot today, listening to some old podcasts and different things. Of course, I saw the one with Chris McDonough where he was out at the house, which we're going to do on this show at some point.
Yes, I still haven't watched it. And I love Chris McDonough. So, and I just wanted to say I saw a couple of people come in, Cal Gal and Sarah's Suspicion and Brianna's World and Lori Birdie and Detective Whiskers. Oh, and Merge is here. Hey, Merge.
Good to see you all.
Sorry.
When you listen to the mom, Malaya there, or Malia, I'm still not sure which way to pronounce it. That is, to my knowledge, still the only on-camera interview that she's done.
It is.
Which is incredible.
She keeps like turning her Facebook on and off.
Yeah. She's done that, and that's about it. But she doesn't, they don't say the children's names. Of course, it's an edited video, so we don't,
Oh.
But if you've been following cases like this, you're noticing a lot of those red flags on your own.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty remarkable. But anyway, I just thought if you are like me and you didn't really follow Summer Wells back when it happened, this might be useful. This is from just a little over a week after she disappeared. This is a TBI spokesperson, and I thought this was kind of interesting. And then the Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, who's been heavily criticized for his role in that investigation, he speaks immediately after. I'm going to play those two back to back here.
Sure.
Just so you can kind of see. What was interesting to me was how TBI approached a missing person case back then compared to now with Sebastian, and then Ronnie's disdain for social media comes across pretty clearly too.
Well, I wanted to read Rosebud's comment real quick,
Sure.
if that's okay. Rosebud says, these kids have not been tested or deemed autistic. I feel icky about so many missing children's parents keep failing them or keep falling on autism. Sorry. Like it's a safeguard. It bothers me. I agree with you.
I think that's used that way too.
I agree with you.
It's like almost every case they might have autism, or Sebastian we know was recently diagnosed, but
Right.
these kids
haven't been diagnosed.
Just because these kids are a little bit behind does not mean they have autism.
No, it doesn't.
Well, that was one of those other differences we learned about Canada as opposed to the U.S. was that here early interventions pushed harder to get them before they're even in school, and in Canada,
they wait till they're in school.
And it's got to be more severe. That real borderline mild autism may not get picked up or diagnosed as if to the same degree as if you were in the States.
And Merge says, question, what are the chances of both children being autistic?
There is a higher
odds with
a sibling. I don't recall what that is, but you are at a higher risk if you have a sibling with autism. But I don't remember what the difference is.
All right, sorry. You go ahead. No, I didn't. Go ahead and play.
That's all I had to say.
No, go ahead. I keep interrupting you.
No, that was all I had.
Oh, well, Weston says all 5 of mine have autism.
Yeah, we've had several parents that have been with our channel for a while that have had multiple children with autism.
Yeah.
We have a friend here who has 2 that you just talked to on the phone the other night.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So yeah, it is.
They're very high functioning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's worked really hard on them. She's done a great job with them.
Yes. They'll be able to be independent.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all I actually want for our son.
Yeah. So anyway, if you followed Summer Wells, I'm sure you're familiar with this lady. She did several news conferences. I'm not going to play this whole video clip. I just wanted to give you a sense of what that search was like, because it's similar to this Jack and Lily situation in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Just a minute. TBI agents and Hawkins County detectives working alongside.
Oh, I've got to go in fast, don't I?
You got to make it big. No, over here.
I don't like to do that.
Oh, go over. Make it big.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There.
I'm going to take us off the screen. there.
This is going to go maybe about 5 minutes or so.
Inside the FBI continue to work around the clock to determine what happened to Summer Wells. In order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we can't discuss everything we're doing and have done to find Summer. Here's what we can tell you. Numerous residents and individuals associated with the family have been interviewed. Surveillance video and photos have been reviewed, as well as other potential digital evidence. We're still working to identify everyone in the area on the afternoon that Summer went missing. One of you asked us in a previous briefing the standard amount of time it takes for a case like this to be resolved. While every case is different, this one is definitely outside of the norm. Typically, in an investigation like this one, we have some idea of where the case is headed and what might have happened within a few days. In this situation, despite doing everything within our power and exploring all avenues, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear. I understand the lack of answers frustrates you in the public, but trust me, no one is more frustrated than we are. If we develop information that will lead to locating Summer, we will share that with you first and foremost. In the meantime, we ask anyone with information who hasn't come forward to please call 1-800-TBI-FIND. I'll turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson.
Thank you. Just to go along with Leslie, I know there's a lot of social media going on out there, a lot of detectives going on, but they're absolutely useless unless these people that's 100% positive calls 1-800-TBI-FIND. That means nothing. We're monitoring all social media and everything that you all put out from people that you all interview. And I assure you, you'd have to work very hard to find somebody that we hadn't talked to. They may not tell you. One point I want to make clear up, obviously, is a couple of days ago, I asked for the public not to help us in our search in the woods and stuff. That is because we know where every searcher is, where every team is, and the captain and his staff, they're tracking everyone. So if we get the general public in the woods, we don't know about it, then they're going to get missed when they go home or don't go home. So it's going to be somebody else. So we have to generate time and information and resources to find. What I did ask for, and I still need, is all the people in Upper Beach Creek, Hawkins and Sullivan County to search their property again and again. You got to look for a small child. You have to look for evidence of a small child's been. And if you got field cameras, if you got security cameras, we need you to check those again. Just keep checking them and checking them. We're trying to find every vehicle is in this holler they're living since we started this. And we also did a roadblock, which helped at the same time that she was reported missing, to see if we come in contact with somebody that's been working that we could see. Obviously, there's nothing came out of that, but it's just another tool that we've used to make this happen. So if the general public that lives in this area will go back and search their outbuildings, their barns, their hay fields, that's mowing season, so when they mow, they need to pay attention. And if you have a resident that cannot search their property themselves, if they'll call my office at 423-272-4848, I will send an officer to your residence to search your property for you. It's a cooperation that we must need, because I know some of the residents are probably getting frustrated with seeing the officers, but as the captain will tell you, we've had very intense operations all week long for 9 days now. And we're not done yet, because like I told you from day one, it's about finding Summer. That's the number one goal here. Yep.
All right. Do you know how to reshare the screen?
Yes.
I don't know how to do that part.
Whoops.
So Rosebud, that was just a little over a week after Summer disappeared. And for any of you not familiar with her story, June 15th of 2021, she was up at her house. And this is all the stories from the mother and the grandmother. They were planting flowers. The Candace Wells, the mother, took Summer into the home. The boys were playing video games upstairs. She saw Summer go down to this bottom level where she slept. It was kind of like you could call it a bedroom, but it was really like more of a basement bunker kind of place. It looked like a little nightmare where this little girl slept. And that was the last she saw her. So there's a little side door that they think she may have gone out and either disappeared into the woods, was abducted, or whatever else may have happened to her. And they are in a very remote part of East Tennessee, surrounded by real steep hills and ravines, and just a very difficult place to imagine a 5-year-old traveling very far. And so kind of similar situation as far as that part goes with Lily and Jack. Dawn and Candace have been under a lot of criticism soon after Dawn, and they spoke a lot to social media over the next year or two. At one time, Dawn said he believed that Summer wasn't alive. They also pointed toward a stranger abduction, and that's what they believed happened, even though they're in this if you think that the Sullivans lived in a remote area, they really were in a place where you would not go driving your car up to abduct a child up this real long windy road in the hills. And they just, the chances of that are extremely
Truly
low.
live back in a holler, right?
Yeah. I mean, they had neighbors and stuff, but I mean, there's, the stranger danger. And they had one thing that McDonough shows when he goes up and views the property, he just kind of silently pans his camera around the Wells house, and there's all these like barking dogs just like everywhere. So without even saying it, he shows you that anybody driving up that hill or walking up on that property, the dogs would have gone nuts. Dogs always play a factor in these stories. That's why I want to know what the situation with Jack and Lily's dog was. I don't even know what type of dog. If it was was it a backyard dog, an indoor dog? Was it in a cage that morning? I want to know the dog situation at the Sullivans, because you had a similar thing with Sebastian's. They had those two little yappy little dogs too, that every time they did a TV interview in the house, the dogs were losing their minds. And again, hard to imagine an abductor coming into the Rogers home without those dogs going crazy and waking Katie up and all that. So the dogs are always interesting to me for that reason. You have something you want?
No, I'm just
okay.
reading chat. Merge said that it was an addiction issue with the Wells.
Yeah. Their all their children have since been taken from them, they're not. There's some criminal elements to Don throughout his life, So
right.
I haven't done a huge deep dive into it, just enough to kind of get the sense of why people kept wanting to compare the Summer Wells case to Sebastian. We've heard a lot back when we were covering that's for the first year, and then and now this case.
And they did end up losing all their children, didn't they? Didn't social services take them away?
Yeah, he just said that.
Yeah, because I went back and watched his 3-year interview on the disappearance just to see what he had to say, and he makes it sound like there's this big conspiracy with CPS against them. Basically, is kind of his, everyone's taking my children away. CPS took my kids, and I don't know what happened to Summer. He's kind of like that. So taking
but they've
no
never
real
given them.
responsibility.
They've never given them back.
No, I don't believe so. I think they're permanently taken away.
Real Me Too says they had 13 dogs.
The Wells did? Yeah, you could hear several all over the place.
Wow.
And then the Sullivans, how many dogs did they have?
One that I read.
Okay.
But I don't know what type of dog. I don't know if
was it still on property?
I don't know. One of the articles just said that they had a dog. But I have no idea if it was in the house or out.
Nothing can happen around our house without our dogs going crazy. So
yeah, I mean, because I think if somebody even walks on our sidewalk out here, our dogs know it and they're going crazy too. That's why I want to know: is it a chill dog? Is it one of the little yappy types? Was it in the backyard? You'd have to imagine, because of them being in such a remote area, any dog would bark at anything coming on that property. So anyway, that's just a question I would have. I don't know if they're ever going to ever speak or not at this point, that supposedly they've all been told by authorities, the Sullivans, not to speak.
That's what they
said.
said.
Press, so
But we
I don't know if we're going to hear.
also know that a lot of people say that.
Yeah, people say lots of things that don't end up being true in these cases.
Oh, some Mohawk mom said the dog is Daniel's mother's dog and is at her camper area.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So was it in her camper that morning, or was it out in the yard? Where did it sleep? That kind of stuff is what you'd want to know. Because if you are thinking any potential for a stranger coming up to the property, they would have had to.
Right.
If the kids were playing in the backyard, if they're getting snatched from there, which I think is a low, I think we all think is a low probability, but not, you can't completely rule it out. Knowing what type of dog and all of that would be helpful in figuring out if that's possible.
Debbie says, Chris McDonough's interview with Summer Wells' mom down by the water was priceless.
It's great. It was brilliant. We got to do it sometime.
I know he wants me to watch it. He wants me to watch it in real time and get my real reaction to, my unfiltered, I guess, not real, but unfiltered reaction, which I don't know if that would be a good thing or not.
The other part of it that'll stick out to you is just the condition of the home, comparing it to the Sullivan case. But before we go to the next thing, I just wanted to say, listening to Ronnie Lawson, at the beginning there, and him talking about the online web detectives and his clear annoyance with all of that. I don't know. It's just, why are you worried about that? Just worry about
the least. Yeah.
And so on one hand, he's annoyed with the social media and all of that, but they're getting interviews and they're getting these people out there talking. And we all know the more these people talk, if you think they have any involvement, the better, because you learn things every time they speak, even if they're lying or whatever. You just have to look at the Megan Boswell case and that conviction to know that played a huge role in why she's in prison right now, is that she talked to the media, because her words were basically, were a big portion of the evidence presented at that trial. And she did herself no favors in both the interrogation rooms and talking to the press, because all of her contradictions and lies had to have had a huge impact on that jury.
Right.
Because that was the majority of the trial. Because they didn't have any with her. Now they did find Evelyn, so that's not a situation where you never found the child.
That's true.
But they didn't have a witness to the crime. They don't even really know what time the crime happened or what day. They don't even know. They don't know where it happened.
Yeah.
They don't. There's a lot that they were not able to prove, but they still got the conviction. So you can go. You can have some guts and go to trial if you have. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can get
and
that
it wasn't in that case. I was worried initially.
Yeah.
I was really worried it wasn't going to go where we thought it should go. And I was like, the first few days, and then it just like, boom, we were like, oh, okay. They got this.
Well, the best part was the medical examiner.
Yeah. I know. We actually need to clip that out and just make it part of our show. And just make it part of our intro or something.
Medical examiner.
She was great. She was great.
So,
we've never really talked about with Summer Wells. We've never really sat and the three of us and really talked the case out. And you know how with Sebastian, we've come up with theories and we've gone through several revisions of our theories. But this is one case that we know about it, but yes, I'm married.
Yes.
A long time.
Yes, since 1991. Same guy. Pretty long time.
Just curious, or are you
in the market for some anti?
But that's something we've never done, and that's one case that maybe we could at the beach we can talk about it a little bit, because we've not really run through theories.
I think that's an interesting one too, and we haven't really gone. I haven't watched the interviews with Dawn or Candace. Not a lot of them. I've seen the Dr. Phil thing, and so I know many. It might be interesting to go back and revisit. Of course, her anniversary of her disappearance is just a couple of weeks away. June 15th would be 4 years that she's been gone.
Sorry, this is just a funny thing going on.
Burst my bubble and embarrassingly. No, that's great.
Don't be embarrassed. I appreciate the compliment.
It's very sweet. I'm sure she will be happy about that for days.
Uber
hello,
Fubar. Also, you were a statement analyst that I think a couple of lives back, it was a very interesting conversation. If you, do you have, anywhere to follow you online? Do you do other social media like a channel or X or anything like that?
Or anything?
I love, statement analysts. So if you have something like that, let us know. And I'd be happy to mention that and follow it myself, actually, just because I put a lot of weight on that statement analyst stuff.
Well, speaking of which, Deception Detective clipped this out and made Mr. East Day.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
That was neat.
Yeah, that was very
Put
nice.
us on Twitter.
Yeah. So that was great. So of course, we think a lot of Deception Detective. He's had a big influence on the way I just approach this whole topic
Will
anyway.
you hand me the cards?
Oh yeah, I got my my deck right here.
Yeah.
And Uber said he's a behavior analyst. He just does appearance. He says, I just do appearances ATM.
All right, come here.
Oh, well, if you're interested in being a guest, do you do that kind of thing, or do you mean like courtroom appearances and that kind of thing?
I'll be qualified statement analysis soon.
Oh, okay. So you're still in training.
He said, sure, he would like to come on. That would be great.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Sure.
And JDR would like an email.
Sure, I'll take care of it. Brownie decided to come up and say hi to everybody, and she got groomed, so we'll let her come up. I didn't like the job they did on her, though.
It's a little long.
It is. I thought so, too. I was not excited about it.
Okay, so do I have this? I don't have this pulled up.
Nope, just us.
I don't know. I'm doing something wrong.
What? What's wrong?
How do I? Oh, there we go.
There you go.
So.
Yeah, she is fancy. Here, say hi. Whoops. Oh, my goodness. She's just leaning back.
Oh, another thing I was thinking about the trail cams thing that's different for Jack and Lilly and Sebastian Rogers is you look at, they were showing some of those trail cam pictures and, it's daytime when they think that the disappearance would have happened. So much different than the Sebastian Rogers situation where, it's nighttime cameras. Some of them have better quality than others. So even
that lady's trail camera was pretty clear.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody walked by there and she still got that footage, then there's no question.
Well,
you're not doing
what a gift.
You're not doing
case, right?
Yeah. I mean, if this disappearance with Sebastian had happened at night, this would be a whole other story too.
Right.
Because we're looking at like little dots of light going through the backyards, trying to figure out if they're cell phones or flashlights or what,
What is wrong with you? She's so needy. I can't
do anything.
I can't do anything on the computer because she keeps licking me.
Thank you, Dreaming of Blue Skies and Sandy Beaches. Thank you for the super sticker.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you for that, Dreaming. We very much
Dreaming of Blue
appreciate
Skies
it.
and Sandy Beaches. I just can't say enough of the support and kindness that she's shown us.
Oh yeah, she's been wonderful.
Especially when we got our diagnosis with our son. She was really there for us. I mean, she and her husband prayed and fasted and did all kinds of stuff for us.
That's awesome.
Just I can't even express how much she means to me. So thank you so much.
Yes, very much appreciated.
I want to see what the sticker was, though, because I love super stickers. Let's see what it is. Oh, it's a flying avocado. Thank you so much.
Very good. So I'm going to play this now from Sebastian Rogers. This is actually at the 1-year anniversary of his disappearance. I'm just going to play a part of it because it will give you a good idea of what this case has been. Also, if you're new to this one.
1 year since Sebastian Rogers vanished from his Hendersonville home, triggering a multi-agency statewide search with hundreds of boots on the ground.
But 365 days later, Sebastian's family and the community of Sumner County, they still don't have answers. News 2's Caitlin Quisenberry has been on this story since the very beginning. She spoke with investigators today about where this case stands.
Everyone is out searching for Sebastian.
An active Amber Alert now in effect.
Day 3 is underway. The tone has been centered around prayer.
A lot of us were like, They're going to find this kid.
1 year ago tonight, then 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers was seen for the last time in his home in Hendersonville. He is autistic and was last seen wearing a black sweatshirt, sweatpants, and glasses. His mother reported him missing the next morning, launching a full-scale search with local state agencies, the FBI, and even Secret Service.
I was out there from the time that I left here, my home in Clarksville. I would drive down there and I'd stay there until 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Hours turned into days and nights. That's when the community was really becoming a little bit more nervous.
After 8 days, still no sign of Sebastian.
Authorities are confident they have exhausted every single resource.
Then the case turned into an investigation.
We have no leads, no details to indicate that Sebastian is not alive.
They should have been investigating from day one.
There was just something about it that I was like, we're going to, especially when they didn't find him, like after those 2 or 3 days, I definitely was like, this is something we need to, keep track of and keep on our radar.
The case quickly gained national attention while Sebastian's father, Seth, continued looking.
The only thing that you can do as a parent is just to keep faith, and keep people out there actively looking.
By September, celebrity bounty hunter Dog Dwayne Chapman joined the search as the reward ballooned to more than $300,000.
So that kind of gives you a little recap of where that case went basically over the last year. And then that's kind of where we still are at. I think we know. So you're looking at all three of these. There's a lot of similarities, some differences. Some I think give you more hope for the case being solved than others. Every situation, of course, is a little bit different, but there's some patterns that are the same too. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about here before we get into everything else. Do you have any thoughts on it before I kind of jump in there, Auntie?
Not really.
Okay. I guess one thing I was thinking about are the parents. With the Proudfeet family is different from them because of their background. And of course, all of these people at this point no one's been indicted. There's really just suspicion around all these parents.
Well, the biggest difference with their family and the other two families, is the level of income is obviously more. They live in a nicer neighborhood. The other two families look to be poor, or impoverished to a degree. That's what I see as a standout difference between the families.
It's a big advantage.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't see those kind of kids disappear.
Yeah. For them, as I preface this all allegedly, all speculation.
Right. Of course.
The public has some degree of suspicion about all three of these situations with the families being involved. Whether or not any of them are or not, time will tell maybe. But if you think the Proudfeet had some knowledge or guilty knowledge of what's happened, then they have the advantage of money. They've got the advantage of being able to consult attorneys and you also have maybe higher benefit of doubt. One thing we've kind of wondered was, when you go out to the Wells family and you ride up on their property, and Don's had some trouble with the law throughout his life. And you kind of wonder, I think sheriff's rolling up there going, okay, what's going on at the Wells property today? They're probably looking side-eyed at them immediately. But you roll into homes that are worth $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, and they don't have a criminal history. They're both, professional people,
right?
They've got family and that's been all around the county, possibly some connections here and there. You're going to get benefit of the doubt longer than you are if you're, than if you're in those more rural areas and you're known to be into narcotics and such. It's a different situation.
Another thing is you probably have social services involved with all three cases. That is a similarity.
We don't know about
Jack and Lily, but based on the living conditions, if they have a CPS type situation there, I would say that they possibly have had well checks or something to that effect. It could be very different in Canada, how that's done, but where I was when we had suspicion of poor living conditions, we would always request well checks every so often on our families at the school that I worked at. It was very common.
I'll tell you, I know people have wondered about that, but to me, looking at the children, they seemed fine. Just the pictures and everything.
Right.
I don't know how to say it exactly, but they don't seem like unloved kids to me. Just the little bit of videos and things that have been
Right.
shared. And that, I mean, it doesn't tell you anything, but sometimes you can be around kids and you kind of get a feeling that they're not from a good home. I would imagine that, Auntie, you had the sixth sense on that over time, right? Where you could pick up on that? Or was it always a surprise? Or would it often be a surprise to you?
No, most of the time you just knew. You know, the teacher usually knows first, dealing with them so much of the day, but you can just tell a lot of times. You just get these hunches, but you also have evidences that you know, coming in backpacks, things that shouldn't be there, just the condition that they are when they get to school, different things like that. There's lots of things. And every once in a while you'll have one that's a complete surprise. I have one family in particular that was surprising to me, but it was the mother alleging that the father was doing something in the home to the children. And she basically called social services on her husband, which was a situation that was more of a familial thing going on, that they were more against each other, and one was turning the other one in so that they could get the dad out of the home. So you had that was a surprise, because they kind of painted a picture of a perfect family when they would come in to school and to activities and events and things.
Yeah.
So, you know, there would be maybe a surprise here and there, but a lot of times you saw it coming.
That's a good point, Fundisky.
Fundisky says having two children go missing is an outlier. People don't take two children at the same time, in my opinion. Too hard to handle.
Exactly.
Especially as young as the second one, the little boy was.
Yeah, for a stranger, I mean, a stranger, just the idea that a stranger would try to grab two children at once, because the risk of one slipping away and running away, you know. Tennessee Nurse says the little Boswell girl, I could just see it in her little eyes.
Oh. She was so precious.
Yes.
So precious.
Oh man, just the cutest thing. Yeah. So another thing I thought that was different, or is the background of Chris and Katie professionally, and that they both had military training, and that Katie being a security expert, where you have with the Jack and Lilly, you know, she was a stay-at-home mom, and Daniel works at a sawmill, and then with the Wells, I don't know what they do professionally. He was a construction worker, I think, or a handyman or something along those lines. At least that's what he was doing the day that Summer
I'm sure
disappeared.
somebody in chat knows, because a lot of the people.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Candace did professionally, but or if she was a stay-at-home mom also. But you know, that the idea of getting away with something, you would think maybe a higher likelihood for the Proudfoot family just because of their experience. You know, you've got means, you've got knowledge.
Drywall, Sarah suspicion says.
Okay, drywall. Yeah. So, and I think that's where he was when Summer went missing, allegedly.
And Detective Mom. I'm seeing so many of our friends here. And Big Dreams, Tiny Budget. See, I told you they'd know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I know some people that are in our channel. They got interested in true crime specifically because of Summer Wells, and then started following Sebastian later because it was so similar. And I think the same thing's kind of happening with the Jack and Lilly case, because you kind of see these patterns and want to try to figure this stuff out and why things happen a certain way. So you kind of look at other cases that have these similar patterns.
And I do think I do think it crosses social barriers. I mean, I think that it happens in all types of households, but just when you point out similarities and differences, that one thing stands out a little bit with Sebastian is, just where they lived looks much different than where the other two families, resided. But there's some people talking back and forth about that in chat. But I think it does cross social barriers sometimes, and you still got a situation where each of these situations, there's a child missing or children missing that have not been recovered. And, finding these little things that are similar or different, can give you a little bit more insight into the cases, I think.
What do you mean going back and forth?
There are some people were saying it had something about brand name clothes and somebody was getting upset about brand because I guess because I pointed out that Sebastian's family has more money and does not appear to be as impoverished as the other two homes.
Impoverished doesn't mean brand name clothes, though.
No.
Well, but the point being really just that it buys you time. If you see somebody that's wearing dirty old clothes or whatever, or and somebody's in a suit, well, you have a bias, you have a judgment comparing. You can switch clothes the next day, and you would have a new bias and judgment just based on the appearance. If somebody's
right,
that everyone does this. So I guess the point being that time was of the essence with all of these cases. And what you're hoping is that detectives picked up sooner rather than later that there might be a criminal problem in all three. Now with Canada, they seemingly, just as a policy, will treat it like a crime, whether it is or not, when a child goes missing. So that's great. And that's not necessarily the case in the States, depending on which city and state you're in. I've mentioned this before, but I had a great conversation with this lady that did crime scenes, and she was from Miami, and I started talking to her about the Sebastian case. So she was like the kind of person, her job was to go in and do fingerprints and luminol and all that.
Right.
And she said policy in Miami was that when you would go enter a home of a missing child, you treat it like a missing child up until the point where a parent or a clue or something gives you an indication, this might be foul play. And she said it might be the parent makes a weird statement, contradicts themselves. You see something in the home that doesn't look right, whatever it is. And then at that point they go, okay, clear the house. This is a crime scene, and then they go from there. So the scene, the place gets contaminated for however long that takes.
Right.
So I don't know if that's the way it is in Sumner County.
And
or if that was the way it was in Rogersville.
Okay,
some people are asking about the poll.
Let's finish the poll so that people can get it off.
Some people can't get it off their thing.
Okay, last few minutes. Last few
you haven't
seconds.
voted.
I'm kind of curious about this one too. So kind of consider, ladies, what your gut would tell you about which one is most likely to be solved. We'll see how that stacks up with the poll.
It's the poll results are Lilly and Jack Sullivan 87%, Sebastian Rogers 11%, and Summer Wells 1%. And that was 239 votes.
Well, I mean, obviously time is probably a factor there. I mean, 4 years has gone by for Summer. I know Chris McDonough has called that a solvable case from the Cold Case Foundation in the interview room. He's a homicide detective. He believes that's one that should be able to be solved. I think actually all three of these could be solved with the right methods.
Right.
And you just wonder, even with all three of these cases, if the investigation was botched, and that's why they haven't found any evidence that's been usable that we know of.
Yeah, well, of course. And we may not ever know.
Yeah. But I just wonder, especially with
something interesting about running parallel investigations. That was interesting.
Yes. I saw that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Uber Fubar, thanks for being a member. Thanks for joining.
Yes, thank you, Uber Fubar.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. That's awesome.
Yeah, very much appreciated. Thank you so much. Tennessee nurses, absolutely. They can all three be solved.
I just wish we knew if they had handled the procedures correctly, especially with Sebastian's case and going in the house. And I mean, I just wonder if they missed something. I know they looked multiple times. We've heard that. We've never really heard. We even got a recap there on Summer Wells about what
Right.
they had done up to that point. We've never gotten that.
Yeah, I as a resident of the county, I feel like that's unacceptable. I really do.
I feel like with Sebastian, they've never just said, this is what we know, this is what we don't know. Yeah, and I keep hoping and holding out that it's because they're building a case and because they have things they can't share because it's integral to the outcome of the case. But you start to lose a little hope at times when nothing comes out for months and months. And
Lolly, I did not know that.
Summer's case was doomed
Oh,
day
my
one when the
goodness.
sheriff showed up and gave Candace a bottle of whiskey.
I did not know that. Is that true? Is that verifiable? That sounds crazy.
Huh.
That sounds crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we like I said, I know the cursory details on the Summer
Well-
Wells case, so we'll
We'll
have to do some
Aunt
diving
E
on
and
that.
and you kind of do too, but Auntie and I know towns that are like that.
Oh yeah.
Do we not,
Mhm.
Auntie?
Oh, absolutely do.
No towns that are like that where everybody knows everybody and that could very well happen in. So that,
And with the sheriff out there, Lawson, I mean, he's not working with, I would not think, a lot of crime just in general,
right.
especially these kind of crimes. So, Sumner County actually has a fair amount of crime. I mean, it's a safe place, but they're dealing with
There's stuff going on all the
there's
time.
stuff. There's some big arrests that are made. And then I don't know about the Nova Scotia situation, but the RCMP is the ones that come in and handled that right away.
Right.
So, what difference does that make, in the solvability? And both the Summer Wells and Sebastian, TBI, FBI both got involved. I mean,
I wanted to say hi to Mandy with Spirit Seeker Squad. She says, hi, Ease. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. I think Summer's case won't be solved because the lead detective has basically said he is waiting on someone to come forward with Summer or admit to what happened. Yeah. Well, then, if
and
that's the case.
That's unnecessary. We're going to get into some cases that I found that are, seemingly unsolvable, and you can solve them. You don't have to wait for somebody to come forward. You just got to get creative. And there's
That's
a lot of
right.
creative ways to solve cases. I found some fascinating ones we're not even going to get into. But I was just going through these. I was like, man, I never would have thought to try to solve cases this way, but there are ways to do it.
And Tennessee Nurse, I agree with you on that. Tennessee Nurse says, I still have a gut feeling that Sumner County Sheriff's Department is working on a circumstantial case. Maybe.
I hope so.
Oh, I think they are.
So.
It's all hope.
I don't know if they'll pull the trigger or not, but I think they are still.
Well, I mean,
because it's kind of like it. I mean, ultimately, the district attorney has to give it the go
right.
ahead.
The district attorney has to.
And
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, Lolly says there's a picture of it. Oh my stars.
Oh,
I mean,
my
I
goodness.
believe you, Lolly. I just can't believe. I mean, that's
fantastic.
kind of an unbelievable thing.
Yeah. Well, we might just kind of do a revisit on that case and
Dreaming.
I mean, the thing.
Dreaming in Blue Skies. If you go back and read about Piper, it's very graphic. Just beware.
And
She said she wants to go back and read about that case.
Yeah. So Kelly, the OG, says, then on top of that, Jennifer Coffindaffer offer is now done, or Jennifer Coffindaffer is now done at a 360 with all of what she believed. So it's very confusing. There's a lot of contradictions with the Sebastian Rogers case that make you where you don't know what to believe. There's been so much mis and disinformation put in.
And part of that really is because of YouTubers going out and theorizing and putting stuff out there, and it does muddy the water a little bit, and I think people don't know what to believe, and they get led one way and then pulled back in another.
Remember when we did our fact and fiction live stream about the Sebastian case? One thing I realized after we did that was that so much of what we thought we knew was actually from like Chris and Katie.
Right.
that we thought were facts of the case. And then you start to realize, man, where did that information come from? Oh, that came from Chris. Law enforcement never said this. And then we started kind of like putting our piles of what's true, what's fiction, what do we not know? And like the true pile was tiny.
Yeah.
And part of that's because law enforcement has not given us a lot of information about the case at all. So there's a lot about that one we don't know. Yeah. So anyway, that's
There was something I saw here I wanted to, and I don't remember what it was. Oh man. Oh, Show Poodles had a question for us.
Okay.
I'm trying to find it. Okay.
Ease, I have a question, please. Why is the community as a whole not holding Ellie's feet to the fire?
Well,
I've heard criticism of law enforcement on Sebastian. Summer Wells, I have for sure. Most of the
I
time you
think
hear
she's
people
talking mostly about Sebastian, though.
Yeah.
There
Well,
there
the
have been
community,
some
if you mean
people.
like Sumner County.
I mean, they did do some like what do they call peaceful protest type things, but they've been very small and very few and
Yeah.
far between.
And I think the majority of people in Sumner County are not invested in the case.
I think that's true.
I think people
I think
kind of
they
had it
were
happen.
maybe at the beginning, but
Right. And then they're kind of not thinking about it. It's sight out of mind a bit.
yeah,
Um,
I agree.
I think most people, when you talk to most locals, it's like, oh yes, because like when that boy Luke came up missing yesterday, with autism, that was in the same city, even not just the county, but in the same city. Sebastian went missing. I saw a lot of comments on the Facebook like, oh no, not again. Is this going to be another Sebastian? But
Well,
I think
found
it's
him
more
very quickly.
like something that happened in the past, and people have sort of moved on to other stories. Unfortunately, I
think
think
you're
that's
right.
kind of what happened. So I don't think it's forefront in people's mind about what's going on with the county, because it's a little over, I don't know, it's 250,000 people in Sumner County. People have lots of different, we're close to Nashville, so there's news in Nashville all the time that gets fed into the local
Right.
media. So you always have a new, scandal, arrest, crime, whatever. There's always something going on. It just gets overshadowed. Where maybe if you were out in like 100 people of Nova Scotia, it'll be their biggest story probably ever in their town's history. And same probably for summer out in Rogersville.
Oh, for sure. There.
Almost defines the community
Speaking of
in
which,
a way.
this
Here,
is a
yeah.
trial we're going to be covering come December, I guess. Right.
Yeah. Here we
Well,
had this
we
crime
didn't
happen in
think
the
there
same
was going to
year.
be a trial.
Right.
So we're going to cover this one. This is Brandy Elliott, who drowned her 7-year-old, or allegedly drowned her.
Allegedly.
I mean, I guess she
She
did.
admitted to it.
She admitted to it, but
Well, obviously she's going to trial now, so she didn't make a deal.
yeah. But she drowned her daughter in a creek with her bare hands. 7-year-old little girl named Piper, we thought she was just making a deal, and that was going to be the end of it, and she'd get whatever sentence she got. But now we're finding she's going to fight it. We're
shocked.
guessing she's going to go with some type of insanity defense, or
I think she
postpartum depression or something like that.
Snapped. I mean, she completely snapped is what happened.
Well, you didn't go on the path. We have a video. Mr. E went and videoed the path that she had to take for that to happen from where she lived. And what was it? A 20-minute walk?
Yeah. And
You don't snap at a 20-minute walk.
had to go down this.
That was with intention.
Yeah. I mean, it was a long way from her apartment. And so you think, snap to me means you snap and you slap somebody or hit someone in a fit of anger or whatever. But she had plenty of time.
Well, that's
to
true.
cool down. And so to me, they're going for first degree.
Yes, Mohawk mom. The dad was in the hospital at the time that this all happened. He was ill.
He was in the hospital. They had just visited him, I think, that day.
That day, they
he'd been there for weeks, and she, her story is that Piper was talking to her and annoyed her, basically wouldn't leave her alone. She said, I need some me time. And she wouldn't quit talking to her. And she just got her up and walked her down to the creek and drowned her. And, and basically admitted it
in broad
to
daylight.
authorities
It
when she was arrested.
Dreaming. This happened in Hendersonville, Tennessee.
Yeah. I've got the screenshot saved from all the Facebook posts from the people that came up on her.
Minutes from where Sebastian lived? 15?
Yeah.
Well,
maybe.
The park with all the ducks.
Yes. I know exactly where it's at. Near where my daughter lives.
I'll tell you another way you would know if you saw the video of Seth searching for Sebastian in the boat when they did that. That's the same creek, maybe a quarter mile from where Seth was in that shot.
Dreaming. This happened last summer, I believe. August.
Yeah, it was August or so.
It was August.
It was crazy. It was
or maybe July.
And,
but yes.
So we want some justice on this one.
Yes.
So we'll be following that trial.
Yes, absolutely.
That is so disgusting. And I guess I don't want to talk about it today as far as what she actually said about it.
Oh.
But her description of what she did to her daughter is so cold and horrific.
Brutal. It's brutal.
It's like, what kind of person talks like it was so detached. It just so heartless. And something somebody pointed out about drowning someone is it takes several minutes to drown a person to death. And so she had that long walk, almost 25 minutes, a half hour between the snap, supposedly. And then she had plenty of time. So they're going to go for first degree murder. And I'm going to guess the argument's going to be, no, that's not the proper, they should have maybe gone for second degree manslaughter because it was in a fit of rage. It wasn't premeditated. So that's going to be the argument, I think. Or she's going just for some insanity defense. We'll find out.
Ginger for Ob asked if it was going to be a DP case.
No, it's my understanding they're not seeking death
No,
penalty.
they're seeking life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could.
Sometimes I think death penalty is too nice. Make them suffer.
I don't know.
I always wonder that too.
I go back and forth.
Yeah, because it's almost an easy way out of not. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I know, but when you see people, but the prisoners usually want life as opposed to the death penalty.
Oh, well, sure they do.
So
because they know they're not going to be going anywhere good.
I wanted to say hi, right. Castle. Castle says I'm excited to follow the case with you all. We actually, it's going to be in Sumner County Court, so we may have one of us there. I don't know, or
we'll
both
probably
of us.
Go if we're allowed in. We're going to go.
I don't know that Law and Crime or anybody's going to be covering it, so we may have to just be there.
We've really not heard a lot of other people talk about this case.
Yeah,
not much at all.
It was pretty gruesome, so it was difficult.
This one bothers me a lot, so we're going to follow it.
And I missed it, but True Crime with Sweet Melissa renewed her membership. Thank you, Sweet Melissa.
Thank you,
we
True Crime with Sweet Melissa.
You. We appreciate it so much.
I catch her on TikTok every once in a while.
I didn't. Okay. We might follow her on TikTok. I don't understand how to use TikTok. I've tried, guys. I don't get it.
Yes, Justin did cover the case initially. He did. He's one of the few that mentioned it, actually.
Oh, did he? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Justin on TikTok did.
Yes, Justin on TikTok.
But he changed his name to Justin the Nick of Crime. So
yes, he did. He did cover it.
I'll pull that down so you can use the screen. Sorry.
Oh.
But we feel like, this little girl deserves justice. So we will be there. We keep thinking we're going to get it start talking about the Diddy case, but we just can't quite pull the trigger on it. It's so complicated and it's so gross.
And there's a lot of misinformation and absolute lies out there that people on X and they're putting out that's being said, and because there's it's not being televised. So you get all these crazy, insane stories. So and so did this, and so did that, and it absolutely didn't even happen. So it's one of those cases where it's hard to know because we don't have transcripts.
Laurie, no, what happened was people walked up on her after she pulled her out of the water, and tried to revive her.
They passed her, and then they passed her again because it was it's like a walkway, that goes around the creek, so people just kind of go and stroll and jog or whatever. But it was later at night.
It was about 9 o'clock, wasn't it?
Yeah, Real Me Too. The date is December 15th. for this year for her trial. And then when they came, because they went and circled, and when they came back, she was out of the water, and they tried to revive her. And I've got all the screenshots from their Facebook posts that they made, and they became kind of like advocates for justice for her, because they became the people that were fighting to try to get that little walkway named after her and a bench put there in her name and that kind of thing. And it was very traumatic for them, because I mean, you can imagine, coming up on a little girl like that, and then later realizing what happened, but I'm sure they'll be testifying at the trial, that couple.
Merge. I heard one today. Some person made I was going to use a different word. Made a TikTok, or not TikTok, but made a video about how Prince was emmed by P. Diddy.
Yeah.
He left a recording in his vault, and so they played his recording about.
It was such a lie. It was such a lie. I can't believe it.
I mean, people have gone to great lengths to absolutely lie about things for that. So unless you hear it from a media source that's in the courtroom, I wouldn't believe anything.
I'll tell you, there's someone who's in the courtroom doing play-by-plays on X, and that's Inner City Press, I think. Is it Inner City Press?
Yes, that's a good one.
That's a really good one and reliable. And also the person you like, the Conlon.
Lauren Conlon, yeah. Yeah, she does a good job with it too. But yeah, Inner City Press, Lauren Conlon, they're both really good.
And Spirit Seeker Squad says, did you see the celebrity who left a Diddy party and hit a 17-year-old on a moped? He survived, thank God, but the female got 5 years probation. Probation, that's it. The kid had internal injuries. That's crazy.
And they've had to be impaired if they left a party they're driving.
I just can't. I can't.
No, they're not. They basically were saying that Prince said, if anything happens to me, it could be, linked back to him and all this crazy stuff. No, it's just ridiculous. The crazy stuff that's come out.
Okay, two things. Fun to Ski says JC always changes the cases she covers. In my opinion, keep your eyes open and just listen. I think depending on information we all receive, I think we all kind of our opinions get skewed. Wouldn't you agree with that?
We hear conflicting things all the time.
We do.
From credible people. And so sometimes we're left not knowing what to believe. Like the green hoodie person, we heard conflicting things from good sources on green hoodie. So I'm still not sure what the truth is about that situation.
Right.
I don't know. There's been times like that where things have happened. So the thing is, I always listen to what Coffin Daffer says, because I always go with the assumption that when you retire from the FBI, the CIA, any of the 3-letter agencies, you never really retire.
Right.
That they're always kind of connected. They've got friends that are still there. You just build relationships. So it always makes you wonder
if they have other information you don't have.
Yeah. Is she having a conversation with a tech, that works in a lab somewhere?
Right.
Or has a friend that's still in the bureau that may be telling her something. So you always want to, you always make your own decisions and judgments, but you always listen to what she has to say. And then, she may be fed something that's not right or accurate. Or she may have come across something.
We get sent stuff all the time that's inaccurate, and we know it's inaccurate. So,
Susie Little says it would be awesome to have a memorial type stone in memory of this little girl.
Well, they actually did a bench, right?
Yeah, they did a park bench.
They did a park bench.
I think is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they were I think they were trying to get it named Piper's Pass or something like that. Also, just that stretch. I'm not sure if that happened or not, but either way, just to have something memorializing her in that area.
So I just can't get over that one.
And this one's for
it was eerie walking down there too. It's just looking at that water. Show Poodle says, I saw Prince in concert. It was fabulous. That's one I really regret not seeing.
Me too.
Man, that is
best halftime show ever at the Super Bowl.
I mean,
if you go back
rain,
and watch that, in the rain.
You know what? Every time we watch a halftime show now, like a Super Bowl one, no joke, because I've been so disappointed the past few years, I'll pull up the Prince one and play it for the kids and say, this is a real halftime show.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, I just had to point that out. And Auntie has his album still.
So I know a lot of people are having issues with what Coffin Daffer was saying, but what is it specifically that I just know that there was a lot of.
I think it's that maybe the video may not be what we think it is.
She completely said, yeah, that's when I watched it, she completely said, I don't think it's what we thought it was.
I got you.
And I think they're upset that she's completely changed it.
Ginger, that's funny. Ginger says, I saw him too. We dated, but he doesn't know it. I think he probably dated Aunt E too.
Oh, yes, for sure.
I remember when he was on the American Music Awards for the first time to hear him speak.
Oh.
And Aunt E melted. It was and screamed. And
I
it was
love
the
that
funniest
movie.
thing.
I got that movie in Betamax for Christmas, and I thought that was the best Christmas gift ever.
Do you know Mr. E has not seen it? And I told
What's
him,
wrong
like, you
with you?
have to see Purple Rain. You have to. So
yeah, I just love it. I know people think it's cheesy as get out, but
Chief saw Michael Jackson. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, that's a good
Didn't
one
we
too.
have the chance to go see Michael Jackson and before his hair caught on fire? Weren't we going to do that with the Pepsi with the whole family? Weren't we going to? I think we were going to do that. I don't know if
something fell through that we didn't do it. I remember. Yeah, our dad wanted to take us.
So I meant to do Real Me Too. They are upset because she's saying the lights are not what they thought they were and Case is going cold. Yeah, I know that.
But I get those feelings as well. I
go back and forth.
I go back and forth as well. So I think she was just kind of verbalizing what we go through. We've watched lots of videos and lots of dissection of the lights, and could it still not be what we think, what we have seen? It could be. I mean, we just don't know. It's not clear enough.
Thanks for coming in, Batman. We are all ignoring the real dad. The little girl had a backpack, taking her little brother to the end of the driveway. The dad could have taken the kids.
I thought
think
that
he's
he was
under
in
house
jail.
arrest.
Okay, was he under house arrest? But he lived like in Alberta or somewhere, not near there. I'm sure they ruled him out as a suspect. The first thing they're going to do is say, where was he? Was he anywhere near the kids?
Well, devil's advocate.
It might be worth looking at, but I kind of, and maybe there's a way to, I don't know if we've really verified that or not about the real dad.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's under house arrest.
Okay.
But I mean, devil's advocate, you could always hire somebody to do that job for you.
Sure.
I think we're open to anything at this point because there's no trace of these kids.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So people are saying they were bummed listening to Jennifer talk about it.
Yeah,
And I get
I
it.
watched the whole thing live, and I was too. I was like, dang, but I also see that battle that she's having, trying to, same thing we've gone through, and trying to rationalize, and she just isn't sure that she believes what the mob crew or what the other videos are saying now. She's just not sure.
Right. And Jennifer says, yes, the biodad is not involved. He's completely monitored by Ellie, in my opinion, already.
Yeah. And if he's not in their life at all, what's his motive and all of that? If he's been uninterested to be a dad at this point, why now? I mean, it could be open to anything, because you definitely want to look at the circle around the kids first.
That's true, Batman.
Batman says he was in the girl's life for the first 2 years. Plus, what time with the boy? Just because the mom says about the dad doesn't mean the dad doesn't want his kids.
That's right. We're making the mistake of taking the word for taking the
You're
word
right.
of other people.
You're right. I can't verify his.
And we don't have tons of interviews, so we don't really.
Well, he hasn't said anything, right?
Well, we don't know anything that he said. And Kelly, I agree. Kelly said, I feel like Jennifer knows something that we don't know yet. Maybe she does, but she definitely had a change of heart. So,
but see, there's these things. We've had some stuff come to us that were from good sources. I think about that green hoodie, and I mentioned it before, but we had people telling us that green hoodie had not been identified, was cleared within a couple of days of that video coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first they had ever spoken to green hoodie. I had other very good sources telling us that no, green hoodie's been identified since March of 2024. They've always known who it was, and it was no mystery to them. You know.
So who do you believe?
Well, which one of those is true?
And
I don't know which is true, or if either of those are accurate. So there's multiple stories that happen.
Well, and the green hoodie still bothers me anyway. So it still bothers
Me
me.
too. Me too.
And then with the case going cold, I don't think it's quite that time yet for Sebastian.
No, I don't either. Not yet.
We get to 2 and 3 years, you might kind of start to.
Oh, right.
I
Mohawk
would say
Mom.
Summer Wells
And then there was
definitely is cold.
Well, when the Mohawk Mom says, then there were people who said the green hoodie passed away in the fall. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, even the identity of the green hoodie's been different about who it could be.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, the green hoodie person went in the female restroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just, so whatever brought her to this idea that the case is cold or that video is not relevant. I mean, I can't say 100% about the video. I'm not a video guy. Like when people show me the videos of the zoomed in stuff with the pixels, to me, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know
Like
what you're all
looking at a
seeing.
cloud.
Or the audio where people will hear voices and stuff like that. I don't usually hear the words that people are hearing, and so I don't lean heavily on all of that anyway. I just kind of rely on other people that are better at that to do that analysis.
Hi
to
there,
me.
GTO
But
guy.
I know when I look at that flashlight video, I don't know if it's going to end up being relevant or not. That just looks like flashlights in their backyard. It looks like what it seems is that it looks like a flashlight coming from his house, meeting a flashlight, and then.
I would have to see better video before I made a decision. But
Yeah,
to me, it looks like flashlights.
That's what it looks like. I don't see trash trucks. I don't see
No.
how it's a trash truck. Maybe it's something different, but I don't know. But I mean, it's.
And I have a hard time believing, and I don't care what anybody says, I have a hard time believing trash trucks are running in neighborhoods at 3 a.m.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, that the noise alone is going to wake up people. Trash trucks are noisy. I can't imagine they would even be allowed to be on the road before 5 a.m.
But let's play devil's advocate for just a second on this, since we're on the trash truck thing and
Trash
the
truck.
flashlights. Let's say Coffin Daffer's right, and that video's nothing. It's a big nothing burger. Well, that changes the whole way you look at his disappearance, right?
Right.
Because before that, I've always thought Chris was never in town.
Right.
Not even possible. I know people have driven it, tried to say,
Well, you and
he
I
could-
differ on that because I think it's definitely possible.
that he was in town.
Yeah, you and I differ on that.
Well, not if the flashlight video is real.
Oh, I gotcha.
Like that it could be him there. So to me, I had always put Chris as being involved, knowing, but he was in Memphis the whole time. But if that flashlight video is not real, then Sebastian could have left or been taken or whatever, 1 a.m, 2 a.m. There's plenty of time to make the drive into Hendersonville and back to Memphis and do whatever you've got to do. So that brings back into play the idea that Chris makes the phone call at 9:43, sets his phone down, gets in a car or gets picked up or whatever, makes his way to Hendersonville, back in plenty of time for work, is grumpy and gets kicked off the job. That theory starts to seem more
Right.
viable than if that flashlight video is real. It changes the whole way you look at the different theories.
Mm-hmm.
It also makes you wonder now, of course, if that's not an accurate video or if it's something else, then you have to go, okay, so then how did he leave the house? What's the other way?
Or did he get home?
Did he ever make it home in the first place? We're told he made it home, but the only evidence I've ever seen is him getting in the car with Katie at Texas Roadhouse.
The police know because they should have traffic cams and they should be able to kind of tell how long it was till she got home by GPS because she has a GPS system.
Well,
she has a
black
high-tech
box
vehicle
in the car and stuff too,
So
and phones and
so that
iWatches.
data exists somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have an idea, but we don't.
But
we don't know.
They may have an idea and aren't able to prove it, though. That's possible as well.
And of course, there's always the idea that the flashlight video may not have been when Sebastian left anyway. That could have been
Hold on.
something else, like a cleanup crew.
Kids are here.
Or disposing of some evidence that was overlooked or something along those lines.
Hey, Auntie, can you talk to chat for a second?
Sure. Let's see. There was something that someone just put up that I was wanting to. I think I started. It was on the Alberta or the Nova Scotia case. They said they thought the bio dad's name is John Sullivan and Cody Sullivan. How do we know that the bio dad isn't in Nova Scotia? So we need to look. We'll try to do some background searching on the who the dad is and where he's at, because we've heard he's on house arrest, that he has like a monitor and that he wouldn't be able to leave. But that doesn't mean he couldn't have sent someone after them. So yes, I agree. But we'll look it up. It's John or Cody. That's let's see. And a lot of you say you believe that the video is real, not trash trucks. And we've gone back and forth, but my theory is if it's at 3 a.m., trash trucks are not going to be running, waking up people at 3 a.m. They're just not going to be. Now, if you said it was 5 a.m. when the flashlight videos were there, and 5:30, it was barely starting to get light, or it was still dark, but I would have said, well, 5 o'clock is possible. Trash trucks could possibly run at 5. 3 a.m., I don't think it's possible. But yet again, easy to prove, because you get in touch with the trash company. Was the trash truck on any of these roads or neighborhoods near this area at this time? I mean, that shouldn't be hard to prove.
Okay. And again, they know. Law enforcement knows if trash trucks were through there at 3 a.m. or not. It's hard to imagine a neighborhood putting up with that, though.
Well, can I point out the fact that when we went camping that one time, we got scared to death at 3 a.m. when they were getting trash at the campsite?
That's different. That's a dumpster.
That's true.
That's not a neighborhood trash service.
Yeah,
that you can contract a different company. And a campsite, you're not living there. You're a visitor.
Debbie said Justin got the schedule of the trash truck, not 3 a.m. I understand that, but I also understand that there's multiple trash companies.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they contract with multiple trash companies. There's not companies big enough to handle all of it, so there could be multiple companies.
Well,
but maybe he got the one for their neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I knew that. I knew the one for their neighborhood. It's 5, I believe 5,
Around
10,
5,
15, something like that.
Mm-hmm. And Real Me Too said 5:30.
And I just want something. I'm back to Jack and Lily for a second. The Batman that was here earlier, who's talking about the biological dad, he says, why are all these? I don't know where the comment is now, but essentially, where are all the? Why isn't anyone looking at the bio dad? He was out on bail. And I mean, I think you'd look at anybody in the circle of the family, but you start inside out.
Right.
You start with inside the home first, because the odds are it's the last person. If you go statistic wise, it's most, if there's foul play, it's most likely somebody inside the house. And if it's not somebody inside the house, your next circle would be people that are connected to the children in some way, like a teacher or friend or neighbor, uncle, something along those lines. And then you have the outliers, the strangers. But investigators would have to start with the stepdad and the mom first, and then you go outside. But I don't rule out the dad. I don't know hardly anything about him.
Right.
Other than, I mean, Batman's saying that he's out on bail and not under some kind of house arrest.
We don't
so
know.
That's just the report we had read, was that he was under house arrest, but there can always be bad reporting out there.
Well, he hasn't come out to talk, so we don't know for sure, right?
Right.
Not to my knowledge, and I haven't seen anything from him.
And it's more difficult, at least for me, to find things in Canada than in the United States. So,
and it's like I don't know if they just aren't on social media as much, or if you're under house arrest, are you allowed to have social media? That might be something he can't do, depending on why he's there.
Oh, that's a good point.
Which one?
What Aunt E just said.
He might not even be allowed to go on social media as part of his, being in-house incarcerated.
Yeah.
Kelly, they don't have an HOA in their neighborhood. Just so
they don't. Okay.
No, they do not.
But yeah, true. That is true though. In HOA neighborhoods, it depends on if even in an HOA. I'm in an HOA, but ours is still run by the county, and we don't set the times that the trash comes. Sometimes it's here at 7, sometimes it's 10 o'clock. It's never the same time.
Ours is at the same time every day, but it's not the same company. So
that's crazy that they contract out for different. That you have different ones that come by and pick it up.
It depends on where you are in the county. And I believe certain parts of the county there's a couple of options.
And that's a good point. Leslie just put up too. She said the cat was seen, but not Sebastian.
Exactly. Well, that's a great point.
That makes sense.
Right. That's a great point. That's absolutely a great point.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let's see.
Oh, so he's in Alberta? That's what the Batman's saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's, according to this, he is 3,000. Alberta to Nova Scotia is 3,879 kilometers.
That's a lot.
So, I mean, so then you'd have to think he could travel that far.
Right.
Not be picked up anywhere on any kind of like cell phone data, traffic cams, flight, however he got there supposedly, and not be missed for, however many days it would take you to get there and back. So I think pretty unlikely that would be the case unless you use some type of intermediary without being picked up.
Women's Warrior says, I just find it interesting that Jay, I think she means Crime Time, Buzz, and Smiley and Subs have been sending letters to Ellie about the investigation. Then suddenly JC does an emergency live stream. It's a bit fishy, in my opinion. I don't think so, because I mean, I feel like that, if that's the way Jennifer's feeling about the case, then that's what she should talk about. I think maybe you're suggesting she knows more. I don't know if she knows more. I think that we go back and forth. I mean, I go back and forth every day on what I think happened. We did our definitive, the who, the what, the where, or whatever it was called. But I still change my mind constantly. I still feel like there's something to the Texas Roadhouse video.
I do too.
I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's some weird stuff going on in it. And hindsight's been highlighting some of the strange stuff. I don't know if if it's, I don't know. There's just some strange stuff going on in that video. And I feel like that it's okay for us to not all be on the same page, because coming at it from different directions, we might actually get to the truth.
Right.
So,
and I think it's okay to change your mind. And I think she just had feelings that day and really wanted to express that she wasn't feeling certain like she was before.
That's just my opinion.
I mean, as far as it being a cold case, it's just, there's no way for anyone to know except for the detectives and the DA and maybe the handful of people they trust. If they think if they're actually making progress or not. Only they know that answer, right?
Right.
The rest of us will just be guessing, trying to read the tea leaves a bit.
I've got one more for you before you start.
Okay.
Lisa B always says, are we not acknowledging Sebastian's Amber Alert? TBI criteria for an Amber Alert equals abduction.
Right. So that's a difference in these cases too. Sebastian had the Amber Alert, which means he's in imminent danger. That they believe,
or possible abduction.
Yeah, some kind of abduction where the public can be of help. And he's in danger. And Jack and Lily did not get that distinction, which would tell you that the RCMP doesn't have any belief that the children were abducted, or they don't have any evidence of it, or they would have put out an Amber Alert instead of whatever theirs is, an endangered child or something like that. And Summer Wells, did she ever become an Amber Alert? I know she was very soon she was an endangered child alert, but did she ever become an Amber Alert?
Yes.
I think
she wasn't at first.
I think
I think she still is, isn't she?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm going right now.
Okay.
TBI.
I know. Yeah, I know you're saying that Mohawk Mom is saying that it's because of his medical condition, but that's not in the guidelines for the Amber Alert. Not in Tennessee.
I feel like that's what they said originally, though. I agree with Mohawk Mom. I believe that's what they said originally because of.
Well, people say lots of things.
Oh, that's
You
true.
know? So who said it?
I know,
Who
right?
said
I
it?
don't remember at this point.
I don't remember them saying that. But maybe they did.
Batman says RCMP after 5 days said to news that they know the kids are dead. That is sad and allows the real dad a pass if he did take the kids. Hide in Alberta, British Columbia is easy.
So yes.
Yeah, but I mean that's just
Summer Wells does have an Amber Alert still.
Okay.
Yes.
okay. Yeah, so Summer Wells did at some point became an Amber Alert too.
We have I did not see this. We have a new endangered child alert for a young lady out of Union City. So I just saw that. I don't even know. Taya Yona Chavez.
When did she go missing?
May 4th, 2024.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I hadn't even seen that one.
Well, I mean, we look at this all the time. I don't,
It's an endangered or an amber?
Endangered. And then, of course, the people that are on our screen.
So Summer, so they had to have some, because I know they had a person of interest at one point. And they had a truck they were looking at. I heard different things about this. So there were, and they kind of gave, in some of the stuff I was hearing, they gave some clues that there was something going on with the case, but they didn't release it to the public from what I could tell. So I guess they had some indication that Summer was in danger too and not lost in her woods.
Okay, I'm looking at the TBI website and it says in order to issue an Amber Alert, the following criteria must be met. The person is 17 years of age or younger. The child is in imminent danger of bodily injury or death. There is a description of the child, the abductor, or the vehicle. And on a request from another state for activation, there is a direct and identified nexus to the state of Tennessee, and that information is conveyed to TBI at the time of the request.
Because they have other criteria for the children that have autism or special needs that are lost.
Right.
Because I like otherwise that kid Luke that was missing yesterday would have been an Amber Alert and wasn't.
Right.
So I think, I don't know. I think that's some spin doctoring. Going back to the flashlight thing a little, just for a moment. Here's
one thing I wanted to share with you that you might want to check out. Spirit Seeker Squad. So she's been doing a series on Friday nights of Summer's case timeline. It's very detailed back to Dawn and Candace being born. So that might be something we might want to make a note of to go back and look at.
Very good. Yeah, I'd like to check it out. I want to learn more about her situation and what was going on there. There's a lot of possibilities with her. Here's one of the things that bothers me on that flashlight video. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there was a security camera from one of the homes that would leave the neighborhood, and it's pointed towards their backyard of the Proud Feet. And it appears that there's a flashlight that leaves his home, another flashlight meets, the two flashlights leave together, and then the one goes back to the house. And then at some point, there's a separate video, supposedly from the same camera, shortly after, that shows a car turn on its lights and leave the neighborhood.
Oh, fun! Did you see what I just did? I put our comments on the screen.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, we don't have to. Isn't that fun?
So you could do that if you wanted it later.
I didn't know you could do that.
It just came up on the screen.
So
I'll take it off. But
here's my problem with that, because I mean, if Coffin Dever's putting some, I don't know. Let's say that the flashlight video is authentic and it is what we think it is. That car, they know that car. They know the license plate. They know the make, the model. They know it took Sebastian and left the neighborhood. They've got it on cameras. Any way it could have gone, it would have been caught. If that's the case, and there was an Amber, why is that car not in the description on the Amber Alert? And they would know who owned that car by now.
Right.
They know everything about that car. That's the kind of information that would have needed to be out in the public as soon as they found it out. You would have an arrest by now, or you should have an arrest by now.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we? If that's true,
Right. We had this discussion today and yesterday. We've been discussing this a lot.
I can't answer that question unless that flashlight video is not what we think it is, or from a different day or something weird or whatever, or whatever it is. Then that would explain why that wouldn't be in an Amber Alert.
Right, but I still have a problem with that car. I know that
I
you
do too.
I have a problem. The car, I mean, I've watched Mob Crew, and Mob Crew does a great job of going through the lights in the car. That car is acting very strange.
It's parked in a strange place that doesn't make sense for that neighborhood. Because you wouldn't just
No,
park your car
you
there
wouldn't.
to be parked for the night, because it's like you're not near anybody's. You're parking basically beside the little, what do you call that? It's not technically a common area, but for all intents and purposes, it's a common area. You're not going to anybody's house really. You're just in a weird place in the street.
But it would make sense to be there if you were picking someone up at the end of that street in that area where that comes
Exactly.
out. It makes sense that they would pull up there.
Right.
So they're not pulling in a driveway. They're not going to pull right in their driveway and pick him up if that's what it is. They're going to try to get him out to where they know where the cameras are. They're avoiding cameras. They're avoiding every situation that would possibly implicate them.
So what's the answer to the question? Why has that car not been on the Amber Alert, and why hasn't there been an arrest? If they know whose car, if they don't know whose car it is, then that car needed to be in the Amber Alert. This vehicle, this make and model, we suspect may have been responsible. If they do know whose car it is, then that person should be arrested by now.
Maybe they don't know who the car is.
Okay, so if they don't know whose car it is, why don't they put that description in the Amber Alert or give that information to the public?
He's been doing this to me for 2 days.
What's their reasoning? I can't think of a good reason if you're actually trying to solve the case. If that car ends up being important, then either you need the public's help identifying that car. Not maybe now's too late, but 2 weeks after or whenever they got this video,
Maybe they didn't.
They needed to find that person.
Maybe they didn't get the video and weren't able to identify the car initially, and it's been months, and now they know who it is, but they don't put it on the Amber Alert now because it's kind of a moot point. I don't know. I'm just kind of theorizing.
An update might help.
A lot of people in the chat also think that Jennifer's just that she's been asked to recant. A lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are saying that.
I mean, but by who?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
But
you know
I
what
see.
I mean?
Someone put this. Somebody said, "I think Jennifer is just saying other stuff because of her show with Doug Bishop. He may have changed her mind on some things. She still said he did not walk away though." And she did do a show with Doug Bishop, and they talked about the Sebastian case at length. And that maybe just talking with other people has changed her mind, because we talk to each other and change each other's minds frequently.
I mean, legitimately, the first time we hashed it out start to finish was at the beach, which is we're getting ready to have the anniversary of us going to the beach.
Right.
So, I mean, we've done it. We've gone through this so many times, just the three of us.
I can't come up with a good answer on that car thing.
And Nina, I agree with you.
Can't come
he
up
did
with
not
it.
go poof in the night.
And that's the one thing we do know.
Because if they don't know whose car that is and they believe it has something to do with the disappearance, then it's incompetence for them to not have put that information out in the public as soon as they recognized it as the car. Because even if they had a fake license plate or whatever, I mean.
Well, that's what Brandy said. I thought the license plate was missing or covered allegedly. I don't know.
I think that's what Mob Crew said.
Okay.
But I don't know if he saw the video or he was told that by his source.
Well, he might have seen more than he's allowed to put out too.
He might have. And I mean, Mob Crew and Clutch and Pearls both have some pretty good connections to the neighborhood. So they've got information that we don't have. So Debbie L says, yeah, I thought the license plate was covered. Has there ever been video or photographs proving that was covered? Has anybody ever released those?
Not sure.
I'd want to see that.
Rosebud said,
if that were the case,
Right.
then
Then that's a whole
if there's
other thing.
actual video or a picture out there, even if the public hasn't seen it yet, if somebody came in that neighborhood with a covered license plate, then that tells you everything you need to know.
Yes, it
Right.
does.
That tells you everything. That would be like smoking gun. Absolutely, this was a crime.
Mhm.
That would be a coincidence that would be beyond any belief. But I'd
Rosebud-
like to see that picture if it exists. And
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I don't
Rosebud
want-
says, just FYI, jury selection starts for the Maxwell Anderson trial in Milwaukee for the brutal unaliving of Sadie Robinson. His lawyer's reputation is something else.
I have
heard of
not
this
heard
case.
about that one, but we will definitely write it down.
Man, I wonder if I wonder if he could ask his source if he's got that video. That would be something to put that out. If he can prove that that license plate was covered, that would dispel a lot of the wondering.
That would
about
be
the
amazing.
I mean, that would make you go, okay, there's a problem here. You don't just go
Right.
drive into some random suburban neighborhood with a covered license plate at 3 a.m. That happens to be the night that a child went missing.
Hey guys, I know that there's a heated debate in chat. Let's try to be nice and kind and civil to each other, or we'll have to get rid of people.
Yeah, we want to try to keep it civil. I mean, we can all, I don't mind disagreements. We're all trying to hash it out. We're theorizing and discussing possibilities here. But let's try to keep it friendly.
It has more to do with Canada and the terrain and different things.
Right. Sunset Gazing said maybe they know more than we know. Imagine that. And they're trying to cool things down. So possible suspects will chill down and not be on the defensive so much so they slip up. I mean, we don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe, you know,
We don't know what they know.
Yeah, we don't know what they don't know.
Well, also, one thing that occurred to me is all this stuff with Dateline in the Kohlberger case. With Dateline putting that information out, now they're not going to be able to use his text messages.
And
So
that's
is
horrible.
it possible that, you know, some of the stuff that's been out there doesn't need to be out there?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Is it ruining their case by every time we go live or someone goes live to talk about it?
And what Show Poodle said, and Doug Bishop thinks CP is okay, and he got things wrong, in my opinion. Well, that's another problem with so many people covering the case. A lot of these people will have special guests, and they don't know the case the way we know the case. We know the case, every detail. We've been in it from the very beginning. And then you get people that are just given basically an overview and asked to come up with an opinion, and they don't even know the facts of the case. They don't know it,
Exactly.
you know. And
America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
Right. Just like we showed that. And so I think that this could be a situation. I don't think that Doug Bishop, I think Jennifer Coffindaffer knows a lot about the case, but she's messed some things up initially and had some wrong facts before because, you know, she covers multiple cases and we were just really focusing initially on this. We knew more facts. You all were locals. You knew more going on and we had more information. So I think as new people come in, they don't always have all the details. So they are going to get some things wrong and make impressions that may not necessarily be accurate.
Okay, Here for Truth says, I don't recall Mob ever saying it was a covered plate or not. So
That's where I heard it, I think.
I don't know. You know what? I've heard so much at this point, I can't keep it straight. And
I
Or he
think
might have just said he heard it also. I don't know if he can
well,
confirm it or
and
not.
Brandy said, I heard the license plate light bulb could have been missing. Like there was no light on it and it was darkened. So that could have been what it was, and not necessarily missing, but not able to be seen.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you want to start going over your thing?
Yeah. So the second kind of half of this we wanted to do was to get into how you could approach these no body homicide cases, a practical approach. Of course, we don't know if these children are alive or not. It is possible.
And we want to thank one of our Twitter subscribers for sharing this article with us, right?
Yes.
You know who you are, Twitter subscriber.
We
don't want to
out you.
We don't want to out you. Yeah.
I'm not if you're there. I don't know if you want your real name attached to your handle or not.
So we'll just drop it.
Yeah.
We'll
So
just drop it.
but thanks for
You
bringing
know
this
who
to
you
our
are.
attention. If you I want to ask at some point if you're secret that way. I'm
Yeah.
not sure, so I don't want to out you. But this article was shared a little
Aw.
while back, and we've meant to talk about it.
Uber. Okay, I'm gonna stop touching it. Aunt E, you go ahead.
I think we hit it the same
Well,
time every
thank
time.
you, Uber Fubar. Please be respectful to each other. Spread the love.
Oh, thank you.
I miss a lot of what happens in chat sometimes because I'm just talking. So I appreciate it if everybody could.
And you're
you know.
just kind of non-observant in life. So
There's that. So this is an older article, but it gave some really it made me think of all three of these cases actually. So no body homicide case is a practical approach, and obviously we don't know what happened to these children. We're hopeful that one or all of them could still be alive. We know the odds are not great because of the time that goes by, particularly with summer, and Sebastian's been over a year, and the children, if they're out in those elements, 3 weeks and all of that. But anyway, we're always hopeful that there could be a situation where they could have been abducted, still be alive somewhere, ran away, escaped a abductor, all kinds of things could have happened, or they were kept alive for other reasons that we are unaware of. But this article was really interesting about the strategies you use and how you put together a no body homicide. And so I'm not going to read the entire thing. I'm going to skip the parts that I think are more interesting than others. But basically, in 2014, the FBI's National Crime Information Center entered 635,000 missing person records into its database. Records cleared or canceled during the same period totaled 634,367, which means that out of all those missing kids or missing people, 99.87% of those were solved. Essentially, they either were no longer missing, were found, or whatever. But in that same year, 788 records would remain. So there's a fairly small percentage of those that stay missing. And I'm going to skip down here through this part where it says disappearing voluntarily. It just basically goes through why people sometimes just walk away from life for various reasons, looking to start a new life, leave the country, or they don't realize that people are looking for them and all that.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Sure.
Lisa B. always says has been a member for 8 months. Thank you so much for Lisa. We appreciate
Thank you, Lisa.
And she says, appreciate your calm perspective prayers. Well, we appreciate you, Lisa. You have been a wonderful supporter, and we appreciate you so much.
You're one of the best. Thank you so much.
And then also, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this because I will mess it up.
Erna K. We'll just go with Erna K. Became a new member. Thank you very much.
And if you want to put it phonetically, I can try in the chat. But thank you so much. Welcome. We appreciate you.
I think I'll end up sounding like I'm cursing everybody if I try to pronounce that name, actually. Yeah. But thank you so much, Erna. We really do appreciate you being with us and the support. So this section, preserving essential data. We've kind of talked about this tonight, actually. A no-body homicide often begins as a missing person case. In such scenarios, an early determination that the matter is more than a routine case often results in successful prosecution. The amount and variety of electronic information, cellular data, social media postings, automated searches, surveillance camera footage, and video or audio recordings accumulated, stored, purged, and then later replaced with new data results in a limited shelf life before becoming lost forever. So that's like a mouthful of information there, but it is all critical to these kind of cases. So you've got the timeliness, the recognizing that it's a crime, whether it's an abduction or a homicide. And with Summer Wells, I don't know, was there ever an indication that when they treated that as a criminal case, like what day, how many days into it they were? Not from what I could find today, was there a point, but they did have that person of interest that they came and named. So it had to have been within the first week that they were aware that something was wrong. And then with Jack and Lily, they treated as a suspicious person right away. And with Sebastian, we've always kind of thought somewhere between day 1 and 3, because it just depends on the sources in which you hear. But somewhere in there, the district attorney was on the scene. We think they were onto that pretty early, but might have been, even 24 hours, 48 hours might be enough time for, for things to start getting cold than if you treat it immediately as a crime scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another part of it, of course, cell data is important in every case nowadays. Automated searches. I wonder what they mean by automated searches. What would that mean? An automated search.
I don't know.
Then it says surveillance camera footage, of course, huge in Sebastian Rogers because of the neighborhood. And then with Summer Wells and with Lily and Jack, other than like trail cam footage and maybe some traffic cams, you're really at a big disadvantage on those. But what they're talking about too is that these cameras overwrite. They don't save everything forever. So where one camera might have information on it for 2 weeks, if you don't get to it fast enough, that data's gone.
I looked up automated search. It says an automated search is the process in which a computer program or a system searches for information or data without requiring constant human input. It's often used in contexts like data retrieval, monitoring, cybersecurity, web scraping, and search engine indexing. So looking to see what people I think put on their like search to look for on their computers and that kind of search history, that kind of stuff. That's what it is.
How to hide a body kind of stuff.
Yes.
Sometimes people get caught with that.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah. So of course that's critical, but that's why, when I heard the thing that, because I think that's what law enforcement said, is that they didn't identify Green Hoodie until after that video came out in like December or November, whatever month it was, like 8 months after Sebastian's disappearance, that they didn't even identify that as somebody worth speaking to.
Right.
Well, then that means, that's terrible because if the street lights there leaving that parking lot would have any, so did they gather the street cams from around Texas Roadhouse? Did they just not think that was important at all? I would almost feel more secure in the belief that they've known who Green Hoodie was since March than that they had no idea, had never talked to them or tried to identify them until December. I'd feel better about the investigation if that source is accurate than the official story they got put out. Because if they didn't even care to talk to Green Hoodie, who stood by Katie's car for a full 2 minutes for no reason at all until December when the video came out, that's incompetence.
Right.
High level incompetence. You would have to at least have talked to that person. So then it makes you wonder, so did they even save the traffic light footage and contact other security cameras like Vanderbilt, who had a place right next door, and the pizza parlor that's right down, and Starbucks and all that stuff? Did they get all that footage within the 2 weeks before this stuff starts to overwrite?
Or what about Worsham's?
Or Worsham's? Or the storage building?
Or the storage building.
It makes you wonder. It makes me wonder how aggressive they were in getting all that. I hope that the official Green Hoodie story is not true, and that the other one we heard about him being or she being identified since March is true. And I don't know which one it is. Auntie E, per the press release on 12/13/24, today detectives interviewed the person in question regarding their presence on the night of February 25th, 2024. We can confirm that after a thorough discussion with this individual, there's no evidence linking them to Sebastian's disappearance. That is disgraceful if that's the case. I think
100%.
I think that's disgraceful if that's the case.
And Mohawk said that SF released it on his birthday. He did release a little bit on Sebastian's birthday. He sure did. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was one of the stories that kind of trickled out there
because we'd already seen it at that point. We just were not given permission to show it.
At liberty to share.
Right.
Well, not permission, but you know what I mean. We agreed to not show it.
Yeah, but that Spirit Secret, that is how I remember that also was a statement like that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's some nuance in that language, but that leads you to believe that that's the first time they spoke to that person.
And I just want to address Batman. Batman thinks that we're accusing the stepdad. We're not accused. We don't know. In fact, we don't have enough information to accuse the stepdad in the Lilly and Jack.
Well, actually, the problem with your statement here is you are assuming that those people are innocent, where we're open-minded. Because you say lies don't find the kids and shade on the stepdad while ignoring the real dad shows how lazy humans have become and how easy they can be played. Sad, blame the innocent, lazy.
I think
Well,
he's talking to Uber Fubar, though.
Yeah, but I
think
mean,
they're having
it's kind of been a discussion going on in chat. But
you're saying
Yeah.
blame the innocent. You are making the assumption there, right? That the stepdad and the biological mom are innocent.
Right.
You don't know. I don't know that. You don't know that any more than you can say that the biological father has any role in it. I have no idea.
We don't have enough information.
There's some red flags with the mom and the stepdad in that their stories. I mean, you watch the mom's interview with the news, and if there's something wrong there, it doesn't mean she did anything to the children. There's some issues with her story, and then you just play the odds too. I mean, the odds are that this biological dad with no real motive, a whole other province or two away, depending. I mean, I've seen, is he in British Columbia or is he in Alberta?
Yeah, that's a long way away.
The likelihood of him being able to pull that off when they happen to be sleeping in their camper and the kids are in the yard, and he knew the perfect time to drive up the driveway to grab them with no one seeing him, the dog's not barking. I mean, it's kind of far-fetched, actually. It's really far-fetched. It's not like they're older kids where they might be in touch with him on cell phones and such.
You are assuming they're guilty by how grammar is spoken in that area. Listen to those in Newfoundland. Grammar is not first there.
Oh, he's saying that based on grammar?
I don't know if he's speaking to
maybe
us or someone in the
past
chat.
tense or present tense. We're not assuming. We personally are not assuming anything. We don't know. We don't have enough information to know.
No, we're not assuming they're guilty.
No,
we really don't know.
No, I have no idea.
I've always held out with Sebastian and Summer. I mean, you could have some kind of trafficking issue. Is that very far fetched? Probably, but there, especially in the Nashville area, there's a lot of trafficking, human trafficking, adult and children, and that's very well known. They've been cracking down on groups. And could that have happened? Yeah, it's a possibility, but it's not very likely.
My leading idea with Jack and Lily is that it's most likely some form of negligence.
Yeah, neglect.
Like
right,
they went out partying, came home, and the kids were gone, and left them without a without an adult.
Substances, asleep, and woke up, and one of the three kids were there.
Yeah, something not like diabolical evil necessarily. I mean, that's possible. I just lean toward thinking.
Thank you, Retha.
That it was more. They feel some guilt about the situation, and there's maybe things to the story. Their story doesn't add up. Their story doesn't make sense. So there's something about the story that's not right. I don't know. That doesn't mean that they're like Ted Bundy or anything.
Somebody said, but those children don't look neglected in the video and pictures.
I don't think.
No, I don't think they do either.
No,
they look happy, like happy little kids, but
I mean, how many people put pictures up on Facebook of their kids being neglected?
Right. Now they're not going to put their best foot forward. They're not going to put a picture of them dirty with dirty clothes on, and they're not going to do that.
It could have still been just an accident or something. I mean, I don't know. But no, they don't look like unloved children to me.
No, not at all.
They look like loved, cared for children.
But neglect can be different things. You can still be loved and be neglected.
Yeah. A mistake, an error, and then So an accident happens, something happens, and I always think of this. I've thought of this a lot with the Sebastian Rogers case too, and maybe this applies to Summer. If an unplanned death happens to one of your children, and you are somehow responsible, indirectly, not on purpose, moment of anger, whatever. In that moment, if you can put yourself in that person's shoes, you've got a decision to make. You either call the police and you just own it, and you just let things happen, or you try to cover it up. And your life, there's a fork in the road there. Which path you pick, you either just own what you did, or you try to see if you can get away with it. Doesn't mean it doesn't even necessarily mean that you didn't love the child, or anything else. If there's an accident and you are somehow irresponsible or something, right?
Well, I think that in a lot of these cases that we've looked at, there's CPS is involved. So if you had other children on the line, for example, the Wells, and something terrible happened and you knew that your kids would get taken away.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility that they would want to, how am I trying to say it?
You're saying basically that they want to try to cover up one so they don't lose all of them.
Right.
So they're going to, even if it was an accident or through just neglect.
I'm saying in an example, I don't,
right.
I'm not saying that's what happened by any means.
That could be the rationale for why for the behavior.
Right.
And Rosebud says, but when you take a path like that, when it comes to something bad that happens to your child, that is a dishonest path, in my opinion.
It is.
Definitely.
It is.
And I don't think that, if something accidentally happened to our kids, I don't think that would be a path that we would take. I know it wouldn't.
No.
They would eat me up inside. So there's no way.
Erna thinks it was an accident with Jack and Lily, wants to help him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to see how that one plays out. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I just try to put myself in there, in these different, not their shoes necessarily, because I just don't know what happened. Astrology for Mystics with Jen says, I can't get past Lily taking her backpack. Once I know why she had her backpack, then I will move on from that fact.
That's
well,
Yeah.
we don't know for sure. We know that the mom says that she has her backpack, but
actually the stepfather said it. I don't think the mom.
No, the mom. I think the mom did too. Maybe not. Maybe it was just.
I've listened to her interview so many times, but it's so weird the way the audio is. Half of the audio is like a drone, and the other half is, at least for on our end, is her talking, and it's very low. So I get distracted by that drone every time.
Yeah, I think it just could be that they think it was taken, but they don't know.
Right.
It may not be there.
Again, that's the same thing, is that, when we go by their words may be deceptive.
So Spirit Seeker Squad says, we don't know if she took her backpack. Like, if they're not alive, was the backpack taken as well as her, wherever happened? Right.
Right.
Hold on. Nina sent me a super sticker.
Well, thank you,
Well,
Nina.
Matt, it might be
Drew?
for all of us, but I think it's for me.
It's for you specifically.
Thank you, Nina. It's a smiley face with some glasses.
Oh, hi, Trees. Well, good to have you join us too. So we've had some new folks join us since we started covering the Lily and Jack case, and so hopefully it's useful, kind of like seeing these three different cases and kind of seeing how they overlap and compare. I mean, you can definitely see why people are comparing all these together. And there's other ones we could do. You could do the West Boys out in California.
That language was very odd. I found that odd too.
Yes.
Which it was very odd.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Well, that's a good point too, Jen. Well, in my opinion, if we don't take their words for the backpack, everything else is null and void.
True.
I just keep, and you weren't here earlier when we were talking about this, but a lot of the things we thought we knew back in the day were all given to us, not from LE. They were given to us from a parent.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was CP, sometimes it was KP, sometimes it was Seth.
Mm-hmm.
And we're taking their word for being truthful, and we don't know that. We just don't know.
One
And
thing
that's
I,
what Karma Moon Studio said, that the words of the parents said this about the backpack. We can't always just believe someone. We need to be open to other reasons.
Right. That's
Right.
what we're saying. We need to
Right.
be open that maybe we are being deceived in some way.
it's kind of like the green flashlight with Sebastian. Maybe there was a green flashlight.
I
that
thought it
left-
was yellow.
Or was it yellow?
I don't
Okay,
remember.
the little flashlight.
tiny flashlight.
Was there ever a flashlight that it actually, we don't know.
Well, and there was speculation that someone said it didn't even work. He just carried it.
No,
because
that's what Seth said.
Yes.
Seth said that.
I saw also something about Summer Wells that was saying that she may or may not have left with or without shoes.
Right. You were reading the TBI updates, right?
I
think you were.
Maybe. So, the not shoes thing, if that's true, is not a good sign.
And Spirit Seeker says parents lie. Letitia Stouch, Stephen Stearns, Susan Smith, and I'll add on.
Oh yeah,
Megan Boswell.
Yes.
What Leilani Simon.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot.
This was another thing too. DM keeps referencing noise, water, and mud. Muddy waterfall or storm drain, I think.
Yeah.
It was all very weird.
Yeah. And then Rosebud says, my comments about the boots, 2 prints, a left, a right facing in the direction of the house, but the stepfather pointing out the other direction to go search. That's sus to me. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's all, but I feel like we just don't have enough information.
Yeah.
This is a case where, at least with Sebastian, the first few days, we got news reports every day. This one is just not giving a lot of information.
It's giving, they're doing news reports. It's just not anything new.
Right.
Well, the parents aren't talking now. And with Sebastian and Summer, the parents talked a lot. I haven't listened to even a fraction of what Don Wells has said out there. So there'd be information in that once you start kind of digging in. But
right, Wendy. Wendy's got a good point. Wendy said, my biggest question, neither parent said they went to check the mother-in-law's trailer for the kids. It would have been the first place I went. Exactly.
Other adults on the property. Hello.
Yeah.
Do we know even if they were there? Were they even there? That when it happened?
Wendy says they were apparently home. Why didn't the mother-in-law and brother come to help with the search? Great question.
That was another one. And then Uber Fubar says boots are a red herring. RCMP aren't stupid. They lack training, but far from silly. And I kind of felt like some of the description things were a red herring as well.
I agree with that. I think the boots are nothing too.
I agree with Merge with the backpack being brown. It's likely brown now. That was weird.
Yeah.
That was weird.
We had started to talk about a red flags episode, but we had decided to wait a little bit on that.
Yeah.
We just, because we're making assumptions with that.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Kind of want a little more time to let this case play out and see what else emerges, because it's still really new into the.
Well, hopefully the kids are found and they're found safe before that.
Right.
And that terminology immediately jumped in the car. That was all strange too.
Oh, definitely.
I just realized I've had toothpaste on my face this entire show.
I can't see it.
Well, that's good.
So I want to go back to the article a little bit here. So this next part says the same holds true for forensic details. People sometimes wipe data or compromise the integrity of a crime scene when they do not detect or preserve information, possibly because no one originally acknowledged it as the location of a crime. Correctly assessing where a crime occurred and gathering forensic evidence from the scene proves crucial to the investigation. But then the next section we'll talk about, it says, when an investigator suspects foul play, the missing person investigation needs to focus on capturing the victim's routine activities. Individuals impact the world around them through their relationships, electronic footprints, personal and professional obligations, financial decisions, and other routine activities. So to me, one thing you think about is with the 2 kids not being in school that week,
right,
is out of their routine. So I would want to know, are these kids that are frequently out of school
I'd
for
want to
being
know the
sick
attendance
or
record.
not?
Right.
Yeah.
I'd want to know if that was a common occurrence or not.
It's common. It's very common for preschoolers, like preschool age child, to get sick a lot, being in the school setting, being around germs, and kids get, they're not great at that age level, washing their hands and using tissues. So, it's very easy to understand how a preschooler would miss a lot. But as they get older, they get a little bit, more resistant to the things that go around.
I'd also
Wendy
want to
says
know
the
if
CDC reported that they rarely miss school.
Oh, okay.
But I mean,
well, here's another thing I'd want to know. I'd want to know if when Lily missed school, did
Jack
Jack also miss
missed
school? Because I get it in a way.
Oh, I get it.
I get it. If Lily's sick, you go, you know what, Jack, you can stay home too. I get making for the preschooler. I get making that decision.
Yes,
well,
I do
I mean,
too.
there has been that situation in our own home
we've
before
made that decision.
because we all might be sick.
Yeah.
Or it's coming and we don't want to spread it. Or we've definitely done that in the past.
So that would be something I'd want to see if there was a pattern there. If one's out, are they both out? I definitely want to know that. And I'm sure that they've thought of that. So then it says relationally, this may include individuals the victim recently had contact with, the last known sightings of the missing person, latest conversations, topics discussed in the victim's mindset. So yeah, so you want to, that's why what is it? Royal Canadian Mountain. Yeah. RCMP. They're talking to those 35 people there locally. So they're wanting to know, what are these kids talking about? What's going on in their life? Right.
And I wonder how far
with any of these kids.
I wonder how far the school was away from the home.
Oh, I have heard it's not real close. It's not like around the corner.
Sorry.
Because it's a small school and they bring them in from all over the county from whatever.
Yeah, I would say they've got quite a bit of, somebody said 20 minutes. I was figuring it was at least 15 to 20 minutes away from the home because of the rural area.
Yeah, I heard that sounds right. So these events also consist of the missing person's future itinerary or plans, such as appointments, goals, and expectations, upcoming celebrations, or impending tasks. Electronically, the person's latest text messages, postings, photographs, internet searches, or voicemails indicate both routine and unexpected events. So, that'd be like especially with Sebastian, which would be if you're going to have a runaway like that, the teen is far more likely than a 5, 4, 6-year-old, so you'd want to know, did he have plans that week? Did he have stuff he was looking forward to? Had he, things that would make it less likely that he might be hitting the road, if his, like I don't know, if he had told a friend at school, hey, let's meet tomorrow night after school. We're going to, do whatever. Of course, I know supposedly Sebastian didn't have a lot of social circles that he hung out with that way. But if he did contact a kid and say, hey, let's meet at this club tomorrow or hang out after school, and then he disappeared the Sunday night before, that would be weird. It would make you think that his disappearance was unexpected and not planned by him, So I'm going to go on down to this section. Gathering the clues. Many criminals strive to create an illusion of distance in time and physical proximity from the victim's last known whereabouts. Successful disposal of the body is another way offenders detach from the crime. The longer the victim remains missing, the greater the opportunity for important clues to disappear. Memories become vague as they lose their link to precise events, and timelines turn out to be more abstract. What I think about with this is the interviews with Chris and Katie, and this would apply also to Don and Candace, but the closer those interviews are to the date of the disappearance, the more important they are, because over time, our memories, just even important events. I remember reading a study about 9/11, and they took all these people and like they had them remember that day, like where you were. Oh yeah, I was at work or I was at home. I saw it on television, and recount everything that happened that day. And then they would check back like every 5 years or so. And like once they got a couple of decades out, their memories were so terrible about 9/11 that it was beyond belief. Like some people would have placed themselves at wholly different locations. Like they'd remember being at home, but they were actually at work or whatever.
Wow.
It was just like a great study in like how poor our memory can be.
Well, and
the
you think
further
some of
we
these,
get away.
well, think of some of these cases that are tried years and years later. I mean, the details have to get so fuzzy, and you're swearing that you're telling the truth, and if you're on the stand, I think it would be so difficult to feel that you've with any confidence that you're saying the correct information.
Yeah, I mean, our memories play tricks on us, and we think we remember things that we don't. So that's why anybody that wants to study any of these cases, those interviews that are closest to the actual date of the disappearance will be the most important, and then they become less important the further away you get.
And that's why we keep going back to those original, interviews with Sebastian, all those beginning interviews, because that's where the biggest clues are, as far as what really happened in the sequence of events and everything.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to take a text there. Yeah. So once enough time passes, defenders often claim they were in a different location at the point in time of the murder occurring, thereby creating an airtight alibi. When this happens, investigators often shift their focus to other suspects. In today's society, individuals affect the world around them by leaving heavy electronic footprints. Every person experiences a past and a present and has expectations for the future, interacts with family, friends, neighbors, or associates in emails, text, phones, or uses other social media to communicate with people. Individuals access their financial accounts through ATM or debit cards and on and on. Just basically meaning that, especially with adults, but this would apply to kids to a certain extent too. That, the little ones, maybe not so much with the social media, but certainly Sebastian. I know that they claimed that he was on lockdown from social media and internet, but we know that that's not true.
Not completely.
It just isn't true. Persons missing under circumstances where investigators suspect foul play probably were torn from their anchor points. Their abrupt, unexpected disappearance creates an atypical void. It appears that no planning or preparation occurred, and the person's routine activities suddenly were disrupted. When individuals leave behind people they love, valuable items, beloved pets, important electronic devices, secure shelter, favorite clothing, and their money, something is amiss. Well, that screams the Sebastian Rogers disappearance for sure.
Right.
And at least with Jack and Lily, you've got the backpack. In Summer, I don't know. Did they talk about what?
I don't think there was. I don't know enough about that case, but I think they said she did not have shoes.
But I don't think that they ever thought she was like a runaway situation at all. They either thought she got lost or abducted, or the parents. That's basically the options with her. But Sebastian, of course, leaving behind money and your phone. Most people don't walk out of the room without their phone on them, much less leave the house. So if Sebastian were planning to run away, you would have to imagine that he took cash. You would take cash with you. You wouldn't leave your cash behind.
You wouldn't leave your cash behind.
Yeah. It's, and then
I liked Uber's comment.
Uber Fubar says Mr. E memories require sleep for consolidation. With high emotion, there is less need for the consolidation, as the high emotions have helped create the neurons. Sorry, I just got to absorb that myself. Oh, yeah. Okay. So basically, the more traumatic or high intensity that experience is, the more ingrained on our memory it gets.
Right.
Sure. I think we all have moments like that where you remember you can remember the smell in the air of places when terrible things have happened. Spirit Seeker Squad says Summer was not wearing shoes and she was last seen inside her home, allegedly according to her mom.
It's just like Sebastian.
Yeah.
Not wearing shoes and last seen inside the home. If what they are saying is, accurate. Candace and Katie.
Yeah. I would assume they have talked to these children, but the boys that were playing the video games, basically their story is they were playing video games. the upstairs room of that house. So what would they even, when you're playing video games, you're completely absorbed
Mhm.
in your video game. People could be walking in and out of the room. How you wouldn't remember anything, most likely. So that's probably not going to be an effective witness for investigators unless the kids at some point overheard conversations or something. But
Astrology said Craddock said he cannot say Sebastian is barefoot. Well, I mean, everyone that bought his shoes said all his shoes were accounted for.
Sebastian's glasses weren't forgotten.
Right.
That's the only thing that appears to have gone with him.
And we've talked about this on this channel before about what the whole issue with the shoes thing is anyway. But if you haven't been with us for a while, the reason the shoes are so important is if you are taking someone's life or when you're at home, you often are barefoot or not wearing your shoes inside your home. So if you pass away from whatever cause and somebody's getting rid of the body, you wrap up the body, you get them out. You don't think about the shoes not being on their feet and that might be a question later. You're just trying to, come up with a plan to get rid of the body. And it doesn't occur to you that anybody, if you're trying to pass a story later that somebody walked away, that they would most likely have shoes with them. I don't know this part. I don't know if the Wells have ever addressed this or not, but was it common for Summer to walk around with no shoes?
Yes.
Well,
Girl Me
actually-
Too said she was always barefoot.
Okay. So that would make sense,
And then Neuro, it's our understanding that all the shoes were accounted for in the house.
That's what we are told. Unless it's something they're holding back. But we believe all the shoes have been accounted for. This next section says conducting dual investigation, something we've talked about a lot, that really anyone approaching the case, whether the law enforcement or private investigators or anyone, you would need to approach it as a dual investigation until something pointed you the other way. You're looking for, because we've talked about this in terms of what Seth and his team are doing, that they would need to be looking for Sebastian alive and looking for him deceased. And you kind of got to treat them both equally until you have some reason to believe one is not true, So that's why any tip that comes in with a Sebastian sighting in Bristol, Virginia, Seth is hopping in his truck and
At 3 a.m.
he's driving to Bristol, Virginia. And it's the same reason that they schedule these searches in various points of interest in the woods, because they don't know. Either could be possible. But here it says, when investigators suspect criminal activity, it becomes critical to conduct a dual investigation with hope for a live recovery, but with a perspective that the victim possibly may be deceased. Investigators immediately should collect all electronic devices the victim may have operated, including those containing the individual's social media, all forms of communication, and every type of computer usage, such as internet searches and financial transactions. Once investigators make the decision to conduct a homicide investigation, they must address the fundamentals of the crime of murder. They need to prove that the victim died via homicide, a criminal act, on or about a certain date, when, in a particular jurisdiction, where, and by a specific person or who. So I thought that was interesting too. You need the date. You need the where was interesting to me, because what if one of these kids was traveled somewhere first and then
Right.
So you got to have an idea that it happened within, because you couldn't prosecute someone for a crime that happened in Tennessee or Nova Scotia if it happened in another province or state, right?
Right.
You would need to show why you believed it occurred there. Of course, then you need the who, and then you need the when. Although with Megan Boswell, we don't really have the when.
No, they didn't.
It was pretty broad. They didn't really even try to suggest a date.
You're right.
They kind of gave you a window, but not really when. And then of course, the criminal act of homicide. And that says, while a motive may prove unnecessary, it helps explain the reason for the murder. The motivation for the crime provides important clues, particularly when investigators have no body to confirm death or location where the murder occurred. And I think, I know, I saw Deception Detective write about this on X a few months ago. He says he was basically saying that motive is overrated. You don't need to know why somebody did something. You just need to know that they did it to get a
Right.
conviction, right?
Right.
But the exception might be a circumstantial case, because there, what you're really trying to do is prove to the jury that this person had a reason to do this. If you don't have a motive in a circumstantial case with no body, I think that would be very difficult to bring to trial.
I agree.
So that might be the exception to that. So like with Megan Boswell, it was basically that she was ready to get on with her life, that she had the new boyfriend, and seemed to want to start over and was excited to do so. That was kind of the picture that the prosecution painted there. With Summer, I don't know what argument they would make, because there's a lot of theories as to what happened at all.
Right.
Some people think, it was an accident. Some people think she was trafficked. I've heard reasonable people suggest both of those theories. Sebastian, I think you've pretty well got your motive, because of those CPS reports and the timing and the
fact that they were looking at ways to get him removed from the home.
yeah, literally.
I mean, that
Literally,
right there is,
they were trying to get him out. We're having conversations with Seth about how to get him out of the house and what to do with him. And then what? Jack and Lily, motive there would be tough right now, I think, with what we
doesn't
know.
appear to be a motive at this time.
Yeah. So that's different. So I think that way, motive wise, you might have the strongest case right now with Sebastian, just with what the public knows.
Mohawk Mom you're right. It was Megan Boswell's father who sounded the alarm about the granddaughter being missing.
Yeah. Several months had gone by, or 2 or 3 months or so.
And Sunset Gazing says, and the custody battle for Nina's daughter.
That, yes. That was like a week later. They were having this hearing, I think, to see if the mother of Nina, or Nina was the mom, right?
Yeah.
Nina, if she was, I think, a psychological evaluation or something, and they were going to try to, get custody at that hearing, and then
don't we wish they could, Retha?
Right. And then
I know,
but sorry, Neuro says no forensic testing on Sebastian's home.
I believe that we've heard
that
it was tested. Yes, that it has been tested multiple times.
Yeah, I don't want to read all of this unless it's particularly interesting.
There were the parts that I thought were really interesting on that were
I didn't know that.
CP filed for full custody of his daughter.
Didn't know that, Mohawk Mom.
Yeah, we did know that.
Well, I forgot it then.
Yeah, we did know that's what that court case was impending when it was coming up when he disappeared. It was all around that exact time that they were, and it got postponed because of.
Well, I think she's saying that it was filed in 2022.
Yeah,
they've been trying since that point, I guess. Here's another interesting. The body itself provides the best evidence of an unlawful death. However, other ways exist to determine that a person died. Many homicide prosecutors often base their cases on circumstantial evidence. They must establish first that the victim passed, that the person was murdered, the approximate time of death, that the likely location of the crime is within the prosecutor's jurisdiction, and the person responsible for the murder. In one particular case, I like this quote, the judge determined that, in quotes, the fact that a murderer may successfully dispose of a victim's body does not entitle the offender to an acquittal. This illustrates one form of success for which society has no reward. Yeah,
I thought that whole article was really interesting.
And then it goes into the kind of systems, and they have using behavioral analysis and different methods. So that's kind of the the meat of that. Unless there's something you wanted to highlight, Auntie, because I know you looked
No,
at it.
the only parts that I thought were really interesting were about people falsely reporting someone missing for why they do that for various reasons. And it said perhaps the person died due to negligent homicide, accidental death, or murder, and the individual response for the death wants to create distance, time, and space from the act by establishing an alibi, obstructing justice, or avoiding detection. I don't know. It just sounds a lot like the cases that we've been following. Especially offenders sometimes believe that the longer a victim is presumed missing and not found, the easier they remove themselves from culpability. I just thought that was a pretty big statement. And I think sometimes the further they get away, that they think they've gotten away with it, basically, the longer it takes. But that's not necessarily.
What did it take? Right.
Yeah.
How long did it take for why can't I remember his name? The father in Colorado. I cannot think of his name. Do you know who I'm talking about? It took 10 years. The father in Colorado that unalived his son.
Oh, Redwine.
Yes, Dylan.
Oh,
Redwine.
yeah.
And Erna Kay says, I don't know the motive with Jack and Lily. I think that's part of the issue, right?
Yeah.
Is that they didn't seemingly have a motive, as far as we know. So that's, yes. Thanks, guys. Mark Redwine, Dylan Redwine. Thank you.
Yes. And that one took a while. Sometimes these cases take a while.
Yeah. Look at Rosebud says, look at Casey Anthony, that poor little baby. They don't even know when and how it happened.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. That was terrible too.
So what I wanted to do is go to a couple of these cases.
What is this? Look right here.
Yeah, I brought her up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's Shirley.
Huh?
I said that's Shirley Russell.
Shirley Russell. Yes. So this was a case that was the body not recovered also. So she go down here. So this was a situation. She disappeared on.
We can only see her.
That's okay. I'm trying to do that because I didn't want to have to scroll through all this, and because I'm not reading all this. But her husband, they were being separated, and this is let's see here. They ended up getting a conviction against Peter Russell. He was in the Marine Corps, and her body was never found. There were never any witnesses of the crime, and the murder weapon was never located. And so, leading up to the arrest, they were getting separated, and they were meeting at the base to separate, items and everything else. And then she disappeared, and really there wasn't a lot of evidence outside of he had a plan written out to get away with the crime that he had written. Yeah, let's see. He had a file on his disk that was called Murder, and it had a 26-step guide to carrying out a murder. That was part of the evidence.
And he was convicted?
He was convicted. And his father-in-law, one of the things was he had asked his father-in-law about how to remove bloodstains from concrete. It was a lot of eyewitness testimony. And he had purchased a pistol from a pawn shop that was never recovered. So it was a lot of evidence of that nature. And
wow. Was he military? Because it says it was in Quantico, and that's a military installation.
Yeah, he was Marine Corps.
Okay, well, then he has a lot of background knowledge.
Right. Trying to see what else.
Couple things real quick while you're checking. Nina, thank you for another super sticker. It's a thumbs up and I love it. And I'm going to play you a super sticker song here right before we end.
but a lot of the evidence was how people acted, like how he was acting. That he, when they saw him sometime after they think she disappeared, he was all sweaty and hot and whatever. And anyway, so but they never recovered her body, but they did get the conviction. So it's just one of those. It's just one of the stories where it can be done.
Look what Spirit Seeker says.
The West Boys were no body cases. They're still missing, and their parents are in prison.
Exactly.
Yeah, I should have pulled that one up. That would have been a good
That
one.
is a big
Actually,
one.
I started to mention that.
I didn't think about that one.
Just so you know, I promised our Big E that you would take him somewhere at 5. So just so you know.
Okay.
I might be able to push it off a bit, but just give you a heads up. Also, Uber, I don't know. We work around our work to be able to be on air. So, but I believe next Friday we will be on vacation. So I'm not sure. But it's my understanding we are taking all of our equipment with us on vacation. So we will see.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes.
If you can find a good article on it, that we could pull that up. I didn't think to use them.
Spirit Seeker sent a sticker too. Oh my gosh. A rose. Thank you, Mandy. That's so sweet of you. You guys have no idea. I get so excited about that stuff. It's so funny. We appreciate your support. It means a lot to us.
So some of you will remember this one. I know if
it's
sorry, go
for
ahead.
Me. The rose is for me.
Oh, very good. All right. Make sure I'm sharing this properly.
We are planning on taking you guys with us on vacation a little bit. So we'll see. I've been joking about streaming from the beach. All kinds of funny stuff. So we'll see. Maybe we can get Granny on. Let Granny tell it like it is.
Doubtful. She hides coming up the stairs so you can't see her. So I doubt we'll be getting her on.
Did she hide?
Well, she kind of lurks, kind of gets around. She's in the TV room, but you can't really see her.
Oh. Hi, Mom. Is she watching or is she watching somebody else? She's probably watching her TikTok.
She's probably not even watching us.
So the one I have up here now, this is Joe Clyde Daniels, which some of you will probably remember. It's a little more recent, disappeared in 2018, April 4th of that year. And the man that ended up being convicted of his murder was Joe Ray Daniels. And that story, the child was nonverbal, had autism, and he ended up confessing at some point during the interrogation.
Mm-hmm.
And then he recanted that later, but it's kind of too late at that point. And then one of the children ended up being a witness to part of it, and the child being put in the car and everything. But the body was never recovered. So, a second way is to garner a confession from someone. So you can do that in the interrogation room, and you've probably seen some of those before, where people get put under kind of like the heavy pressure, and they end up confessing, and that's just really the talent of the person leading the interrogation. And it can be sometimes controversial. Sometimes people can feel like they've been coerced into confessing, but this is a terrible story.
Yeah.
Basically, the little boy, he just beat him to death.
Mm-hmm.
And
I just wonder why he never told them where the body was.
I don't know. But there was another case that will be similar.
Y'all, Mandy keeps sending me stickers. She sent me a diamond and some hearts. Thank you, Mandy. That's so sweet.
Spirit Seeker Squad's sending them too.
That's Mandy.
Oh, that is Mandy. Okay.
Yes.
I was like, oh, that's not.
So, like, he's talking about terrible things, and I'm over here smiling because I'm seeing the super stickers. It makes me look like a terrible
do
person.
the thank you on those if you haven't already.
I haven't done it yet.
And actually, Real Me Too. They're not coming to see me. We're actually meeting at another location.
We're renting an Airbnb
beach house. Yeah.
Beach house. Yeah. We do it every year. We've been doing it. We were trying to remember how many years we've been doing it.
Since
Probably
at least 2017, because that's the year that we went and decided to retire on vacation.
Do you remember the first year we went?
Oh, I know, but we skipped a few years in between. But we've
No,
been
we
almost.
didn't.
Yeah, we did.
Did we skip?
We skipped a couple years because I think you guys went on your own without me a couple years.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. It did. Our dates didn't work out.
You did some different locations that I hadn't been to before. Remember when you?
When we did the Outer Banks one year.
Yeah. And then you did another area.
We did
down
Port
from
St. Joe one time.
Yes.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
It's kind of our time to kind of, spend with our family. And then our son with autism, who we call Big E, would not allow us to not go to the beach. So we have to go to the
it's
beach.
pretty much it's not negotiable.
It's a we have to no matter what situation. And we don't know what treatments middle E is going to be doing yet until we get this MRI. So we thought we would just kind of get this out of the way before the MRI and before we determine what treatments we're going to do for him. So
yeah, it's pretty hot here, and I'm sure it'll be around the 90s where we're going as well.
I hear people saying that they've never been able to go on vacation. Well, part of the reason we can afford it is because we split it.
Yes.
So it doesn't cost, it costs us about half of what it would cost other people. And we are frugal about it. We very much try to get the best possible deal we can get.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I thought this one was kind of unique too. This is one where it says the title of the article is How NASA Helped Solve a Cold Case Murder After Almost 20 Years. And the background on the story is that this...
That's a weird ad.
Oh, I can't see the ad.
Like a manga.
Okay, it's over now.
Oh, okay.
Now it's a car.
I've got two screens. I've got one where I can read and one leave the picture up. So on August 30th, Dawn Elaine Sanchez left with her boyfriend, Bernardo Bass. This was in Los Altos, California. They ended up getting in an argument in a parking lot. There was an eyewitness, but that eyewitness refused to testify down the road for some reason. So of course they didn't have any evidence to get a conviction. And then eventually the car that he drove to this parking lot with Dawn, he sold it, and the weapon was gone. So they had really no body. They had no car. They had no weapon. They essentially had no case. And then in this article, it says in 1992, the charges against him were dropped. It looked as if Bass had gotten away with murder. Then NASA investigators not only wondered what happened to Dawn's body, but also wondered what became of the car. In their initial investigation, Bass's sister said she sold it because her brother ordered her to, but later recanted that testimony. Investigators believed Bass buried parts of the vehicle in the same vacant lot where he killed Sanchez. So 18 years later, after the murder of Dawn Sanchez, police officials returned to look at that lot to look for car parts buried there. Unfortunately, digging up the entire field was cost prohibitive, so they needed to find another way to see what might be underground. Metal detectors couldn't do the trick because the lot was already filled with so much debris. NASA engineers, along with experts from U.S. Geological Survey and the Carnegie Mellon Innovations Lab, deployed a Sensita Max 5.0A rover, an autonomous ground vehicle, to perform magnetic surveys. The Sensita Max rover is designed for Earth science missions to map ground magnetic data and survey points of geological interest underground. I'm actually going to scroll down so you can see the little rover thing.
It's not showing us that.
Oh,
yeah, it is. I see
Okay,
it.
I'm crazy. Never mind.
What could be of more interest than solving an 18-year-old cold case murder, NASA and the USGS apparently thought nothing could be better. So when the Menlo Park District Attorney's Office called them in, they obliged. The rover did a detailed sweep of what laid beneath the old junkyard, looking specifically for old car parts and possibly the remains of Dawn Sanchez. It didn't find the victim's body, but it was able to analyze data provided by the rover to give the District Attorney's Office some very promising points of interest that might be the evidence it sought. And once the points were detailed by the rover were excavated, it did indeed reveal old buried car parts that could have belonged to the 1979 Pontiac Grand Prix that once belonged to Bernardo. Once tested, they revealed that Bass took the victim's body into his car and possibly held her in a closet at his home near the vacant lot. And then he was arrested and eventually pled not guilty, but let's see. He eventually pled no contest and received a 6-year sentence for manslaughter. So although that's not really,
that's not very long for
No kidding.
yeah. So he kind of was
unaliving
not,
somebody.
it's really not, and probably got out in less than 6, right? But that was just kind of a different, interesting way.
Uber
all the
Fubar
case.
said he solved a 25-year-old case, his first case.
That's awesome.
Oh wow.
That's really exciting.
I forgot to say what Mandy sent us. Mandy sent us a diamond and some hearts.
Oh,
thank you so much, Spirit Seeker. That makes me happy. Can we do the song real quick before we start a new
Sure.
one? Okay. This is for all of our super stickers. Let's see. I don't know if people like this song or if they get annoyed by it, but I like it.
Thank you for your super sticker. 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 Thank you for your super sticker.
I just love that song.
So let me see. It's a little boy up on the screen. Yeah.
And that was for Mandy and Nina.
So this little boy was named Thomas Gibson, and this is on March 18th of 1991. He was just 2 years old, disappeared from his front yard, and his father, Larry Gibson, was a sheriff or deputy sheriff in Douglas County, and this is in Azalea, Oregon. And he had an older sister named Karen. And originally, the little girl, Karen, said that someone abducted her brother from the front yard. That was the story they were led to believe. Yeah.
Auntie is going to have to jump off because her guests have landed,
Oh.
I think.
Well,
Are you going to go ahead? You need to go ahead and jump off?
We'll probably wrap up here in a bit anyway.
I was going to try to get off about 6, which is our 5-year time, about 12 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're almost kind of done anyway.
Okay,
So that'd be about right.
So
I
this
wanted to
little boy
let her
was-
go if she wanted to go on and go.
Yeah, you can if you like.
And if I need to, I'll let you know. But I plan to at 6. 5 years.
So yeah, so he was believed to have been snatched from his front yard for a while. His story ended up being on Unsolved Mysteries, and he was one of the images used in the Soul Asylum video, Runaway Train.
Oh yeah.
If you remember that when that happened, they put all these missing kids
Mm-hmm.
in that music
I did
video.
not
and
know that.
You didn't know that? That was a very impactful video.
No, I didn't know this little boy was used on the video.
Yeah, so he was one of the images in that video, and then eventually investigators started to realize that there might be a problem with the father, and the way they ended up solving it was he had been gone when the child disappeared. He had been gone for an unaccounted for like 25 minutes or so, and when they went back to check through his story and everything, there were 7 unaccounted for miles on his odometer. And at that point, they made him the prime suspect in the case just because of that. So they charged him with second-degree murder. And they believe that he took the body and disposed of it. And the little girl ended up being the star witness in the case. And let's see.
The little girl that said somebody took him out of the yard?
Yeah, but she was 4.
Oh.
So it possibly put her up to lying or something. So I'm just going to read this part because I want to make sure I get this right. The defense suggested that Karen had been influenced to adopt the storyline that her father had beaten and killed Thomas by her mother. Court documents prepared by the district attorney presented the series of events. Larry left the family's residence in Azalea at approximately 11:30 to go for a jog. Thomas followed after his father, who instructed him to wait for his sister to come out of the house. Spotting a cat nearby, Larry purportedly used a pistol to kill it, assuming it to be a stray. When Thomas curiously approached the dead cat, Larry angrily picked him up and carried him to the family's carport, where he proceeded to slap the child in the face multiple times. After realizing that Karen had observed Larry hitting Thomas from the window, he placed Thomas in the patrol car and drove it behind a woodpile on the property, where he placed the child's body in a plastic bag and hid it in the trunk of his vehicle. It was theorized that by investigators that after searchers began looking for Thomas, Larry took the child's body and disposed of it in an area known as Swamp Creek, though his remains were never recovered. Karen claimed that her father had threatened her against telling authorities what she had witnessed and felt unsafe to do so until her mother separated from him and they relocated back to Oregon in 1994.
Wow.
So basically that came down to the 4-year-old and
So
the
did
odometer.
So did he hit him? What are they saying? He hit him and it killed him by accident?
Must have. Yeah.
They hit him too hard?
Yeah, that was their belief or theory.
He sounds very violent if he's shooting cats.
Yeah. And then and
That's
so they got a
crazy.
conviction on him. He always claimed that he was innocent. Ooh, wow.
Crazy.
He only served a year in prison
What?
because it was manslaughter.
Wow.
His conviction called for 15 to 18 months imprisonment, but he only served 12 while in police custody. Oh, he had served 12 while in police custody leading up to and during his trial. He was released from prison. So they gave him time served is what they're saying. So he's been out of prison since 1996.
Oh, my stars.
I know.
Urge wanted to know, how did they know what mileage was before 7 miles?
I think what they were saying was he had told where he had gone.
Oh, I got you.
And there were an extra 7 miles that didn't make sense in where he was supposed to have searched.
Wow.
And
And
that's why they theorized that that's when they started to suspect him.
I didn't catch this. Did you say he was a cop?
He was a deputy sheriff.
Oh, my stars.
Wow.
Worse.
Well, wow.
So you talk about getting the benefit of the doubt. The deputy sheriff's going to get the benefit of the doubt on a story like that, right?
Right.
Well, that's a good example. That's a great example of that.
I like what Sunset Gazing. She said, breakdown of family unit, less focus on God, uptick in use of illegal substances, etc., have all factored into breaking down a society and increased violence. Wild animals take better care of their young than some humans. And that is absolutely the truth.
Yeah.
Well, why I thought that one was kind of interesting is because all of these 3 stories involve people driving and leaving and searching for unaccounted for periods
Wow,
of
that's
time.
interesting.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So,
And what was the father's name again? Someone is asking.
Larry, let's see, Larry Gibson.
Larry Gibson.
Yeah.
Are you doing another one?
Yeah, unless you want to wrap it up. We don't have to do any more of these. I was trying to find different types.
I like going over cases and talking about similarities. Like I said, that other one that I mentioned about the milk carton boy. I mean, his body's never been found. That's another really interesting one, but it's very old. Oh, thank you, Uber Fubar. Join us again. We'll post sometime on vacation. We'll definitely be going live at
We're
least
going live
once,
every
not more.
day. Every
Gotta go-
day.
I don't even remember
after
this.
dinner.
Just kidding.
I pulled this one up and I don't even remember why.
Thank you so much.
And Crochet was asking.
I
what
know
was
why.
the name? Oh, never mind.
Yeah, we got it.
Right. So the reason this one was interesting to me, this Hans Reiser who had a mail order bride and allegedly took her life, and she never was found. But the way that they found the body was that he was willing to give up the information where the body was. So for giving the location of this lady Nina that he had killed, he received a 2nd-degree murder charge. So I was just bringing this one up really to kind of point out that there can be negotiation,
Right.
in some of these things. So
How long did he get?
How long did he actually serve? Let's see. He was sentenced to 15 years to life for second-degree murder.
He went to San Quentin.
He cannot appeal his
Wow.
conviction or sentence. Went to San Quentin. He got beaten by prisoners.
Shocker.
Shocker.
I guess he's in a California healthcare facility as of now. Yeah, so it seems like he's still detained.
But he's in a healthcare facility.
Probably
he was
because of
beaten?
injuries. Probably because of injuries he got in prison.
Yeah. He
Sunset
moved around a few different prisons, it looks like.
Sunset gazing. Says we're streaming every day, twice a day, to show the sunrise and sunset.
Sunrise, sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there were other things too, like they saw him hosing something down in his driveway for half an hour.
What year was this?
This is September 3rd, 2006. But anyway, the negotiating part is another angle that
Hi, Detroit.
Especially if with any of these people, like Don Wells, has been in legal trouble since
Right.
Summer disappeared. And when that happens, or you can find other charges against people, other crimes they may have committed,
Mm-hmm.
that's the time to negotiate. So maybe, that's a way to solve cases, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's another way.
Make deals.
Yeah.
Talk to these people that have some involvement or knowledge, get them wrapped up in some other charge, or just try to charge them directly for the crime and solve it that way.
Spirit Seeker Squad says, I found it odd that missing children used to be posted on milk cartons, and Candace said the last images of Summer was Summer literally on milk jugs. We don't know for a fact if those images were her last, because Ellie acknowledges a 12:20 p.m. video at the swimming hole, but not the milk image at 3:09 allegedly. Interesting.
Let me go back and read.
And then Real Me Too said that Dom did go to jail for 6 months after Summer's
On
disappearance.
an unrelated charge, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but
he's had legal issues.
Yeah, and if people that hang, he has, from what I can understand, he hangs around a criminal element, and so finding a snitch in there should be possible.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to find, because it's likely somebody knows what happened to her. I think that's why McDonough says things like that. This is a solvable case with Summer, because you've got that kind of criminal element. All you got to do is wrap one of them up in a chart. I just finished listening to a really good podcast on Murder on Music Row, which is about the Kevin Hughes murder in 1989. And it was like an 8-part series or whatever. And it was great.
He loved it.
And of course I thought about all these cases too when I was listening to it. And that one, it took them 14 years to solve it, but they did. They got the conviction on the guy.
As
part
far
of
as
how
I
they
know,
did it, part of how they did is they got a guy wrapped up on another charge that sold the gun to the hitman.
Oh.
And they get a better deal, a lighter deal. He flipped, and that's ultimately what got them to go to trial against the hitman. And so there's ways to do that. You just got to find the right person under the right pressure. I'm a big fan of pressure in these investigations. If you can't get it on camera or an eyewitness, then put the screws to people,
right?
And put them under pressure. I mean, if it were me running any of these 3 investigations and I thought there was a criminal involved, I'd be looking for other crimes that they may or may not have committed and see where I can make somebody start talking. That's what I would think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was going to have you.
Crochet said, but there is no evidence against Don, correct? I don't think that they have any evidence.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they've got.
I mean,
don't know
nothing that
case
they
well
come
enough.
out to the public about.
Yeah, just a little bit I've seen from TBI and their statements that they indicate that they have something against somebody. Yeah, I don't know enough about that case to say what happened with Summer, Dawn, Candace, all that. I mean, our audience probably knows way more about it than I do.
It was before we really got into the true crime stuff, and we kind of got it at the, after all the hype of it was over, we heard a lot about it still, but it was a new case to us. So we haven't really gotten to the depth that we did with Sebastian.
Yeah, I just know Crochet. That's hilarious. Responding to my thing about pressure from the law enforcement. I am too, unless I am the innocent person being interrogated. Yeah, right. Then the pressure is not so much fun. Yeah, that's funny. So anyway, I just thought these were all, and of course there's also the DNA possibilities. A lot of the cold cases have been getting solved over the last 2 decades just from DNA.
Well, the ability to test DNA has gotten better and better. They've gotten better at being able to get more accurate forensics, and then you've got phone data and all that kind of forensics that has, everybody's got a phone, so you can find out a lot with that phone data.
Sure. And then there's some other. I read through a whole bunch today. There were some where you'd have the informants, and then what's unfortunate, I mean, there's some where people with the no body cases were innocent and got convictions against them. There was one I read about.
That's awful.
Yeah, there was one where there was a couple in Australia I was reading about, and
was that the dingo?
yeah, she got charged for the murder of her baby, and literally a dingo had eaten
her baby.
Eating her baby.
Is that where that dingo ate my baby?
I don't know.
It came from Seinfeld.
I know, but is that where it came from initially? I mean, it's not.
I don't know.
It's a random thing to say.
I don't know where that came from, but if it was that case, I don't. But of course, that stuck out because of the dingo. But they ended up ultimately finding the shredded clothes of the child and the bones and everything, and realized that it was an animal that had. But they got the conviction with no body.
That's crazy.
Against the mother.
And then how did they realize the dingo
ate the baby?
Just the state of the clothing and the bones.
Oh,
they could tell. But when the child was eventually found, but they got the conviction before they could find the kid, thinking the mother or whatever had
was
done
she
it.
exonerated? I mean,
I'd have to go back and look at that one. I read through so many today, but there were several where people were released from prison eventually. There were some where there was one where a serial killer was convicted of killing someone, and he had killed someone, but it was a different woman. There were, but wrongful convictions, like the right crime, wrong person, basically.
Wow.
There were just a lot of fascinating wrongful prosecutions also with these no bodies. So which brings you to another risk. That's another risk of this. So that there's a reason somebody may not want to do that in Summer, Sebastian, or the Sullivan case if they're wrong.
Right.
And then one day, one of these kids is alive, or they passed a different way. I mean, you that's a career killer, right?
Well, it's also let's say that did happen. You could sue the entire county and state and everybody involved. And I think people are aware of those issues. People are very litigious these days. I mean, we've seen it ourselves.
Right.
I mean,
you think?
I mean, you go to prison for a murder and you didn't have anything to do with it, and then it's proven.
Right.
You'd own the county, right?
Right.
So I mean, there's a reason they would be hesitant. They'd have to. I mean, you'd have to be positive you had this thing right.
Right. And that's why some district attorneys and things won't touch it.
Yeah, but it can be done. I mean, it has been successfully done a number of times in a number of ways. I was just trying to give some examples of interesting ones that were kind of different. But I guess I don't have anything else unless there's anything you guys want to do before we go, or any thoughts on any of this. Yeah, my buddy's ready to go. Where am I taking him?
Do you want me to tell everybody on the live stream where you're going?
Exactly where I'm going. I'm taking him on an errand.
What are you doing, Dad?
We're getting ready to go somewhere, buddy.
Like to get dinner?
Yeah.
Costco?
Okay. Guess we're going to Costco.
To get dinner at Costco?
That sounds like a great idea.
Sure. We'll get. Oh, right. I know what you. Yeah, we'll get some stuff at Costco.
Get dinner?
Yeah. I don't know. We'll shop and
What?
see what we can get.
What do we need at Costco?
What? Chips.
That's
We
right.
will.
Some beach food.
Beach
We do.
food.
We do
Beach
need
food.
right.
He's ready.
Hey, will you give me 5 minutes to tell everybody goodbye, and then I'll come meet you?
Well, I guess
I
that's
guess
a
we
yes.
accepted that. So, yeah.
He's so sweet. He's been so good. And I don't know what it is, but when we're on live streams, he usually is just very good and just kind of
Happy.
happy.
know.
And it's not I don't know. It's not,
He's not
always
not
that
upset or
way.
anything. You know,
But on live streams, he never has a problem with it. He sees that we're working, and
he doesn't get agitated.
He doesn't get agitated. Exactly.
He gets that we're working or something. I think he knows.
He's pretty smart.
He's very smart. Oh, he's so very smart. He's so very smart.
NeuroV says a guy was just released in the UK after 34 years in prison as innocent.
Oh my stars!
I mean, that's like that's a nightmare.
That
really
is a nightmare. And you know, it's not uncommon to hear that.
And you read that
awful.
I know I saw with those advocacy groups for innocence or whatever will tell you that somewhere between 15 to 30% of people that are in prison are not guilty of the crime they committed. Like that they either didn't want to, either they were wrongfully convicted, or they didn't have the funds or the money or the belief that they could win against the system. So they just pled down and accepted the charge. You know, so it's not a perfect system, that's for sure. But boy, those kind of stories, 34 years in prison, just your whole half your life, right? Just gone.
Well, Spirit Seeker Squad said, we found out in March that my grandbaby is on the spectrum, moderate to severe nonverbal. My son is 15 and high functioning, two totally different journeys. Well, I think Mr. and Mrs. E could tell you, get as much early intervention for that grandbaby as you can, because they were told their child would be nonverbal, and he is very far from that now.
Yes, we worked really, 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 really hard. I was telling the kids about this the other day, how I would sit in front of him in his high chair. You remember this? What did I used to do? Anybody remember?
Oh, the flashcards.
Flashcards.
Yeah.
Yes. Every time we sat down to eat, because when he would eat, it would, he wouldn't get mad about sitting in the high chair to do, because he would run around otherwise. Right. So I would hold up flashcards, a duck, a raincoat, a puddle. I would do all these things constantly. And we had all of these word books to teach him words. But we also managed to, and we're lucky enough to have him get, roughly 40 hours a week of different types of therapy. So we worked really hard, but it wasn't until ABA that the child started really speaking.
We could do Lori Vallow next week at
the
beach.
What's
third and final trial?
Well, but again,
I don't know. I thought it was. I didn't realize there was a third trial.
Well, we don't want to be covering a whole trial all day while we're supposed to be in the sun.
I know. We could do like a recap.
Oh, okay.
And Crochet, we do have a theory, but we probably don't want to share that theory.
We have a theory for our child.
That's what they said.
Yeah, there's multiple causes, but we have a good idea what happened to ours.
I believe, well, I can say it in a nice way. I believe it is possibly a pre-existing condition that gets triggered by something, just like any other disease. For example, diabetes.
Kind of like autoimmune.
Right. It gets triggered by some kind of factor. And if that trigger doesn't go off, then that doesn't happen. That's just my opinion. But I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I know. It's like every word like that becomes such a big victory, right? So we've started.
Open, that's a great one.
Yeah, we've started weekly cognitive and motor skills. She works on some verbal, but not much. She said open last week. We were so excited.
That's great. How old is she? I'm sorry. Did you say?
She just said grandbaby, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Well,
Me Too said it earlier, but basically our advice to everybody is the ABA and diet. Tackle those first.
The diet made a huge difference. You wouldn't think it. The diet made a huge difference in his language and his ability to go not use pull-ups.
Oh, she turned 2 in February. She turned 2.
Oh, don't let them tell you she's not going to be verbal. They did the same thing with us.
Work with her, work with her, work with her.
They said the same thing to us. And I'm telling you, I mean, he's not going to be able to ever live on his own. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, he can express to us his wants and needs. And even, I mean,
he's very articulate. He's very articulate.
Yeah.
Well, and he tells us jokes now. He has memorized some knock knock jokes books, and he tells us jokes all the time. And he can tell you every year any Minecraft animal was released. He's very
He can read. He knows math.
Oh yeah, he can read. Yeah, absolutely, he can do all those things. Now, I will tell Spirit Seeker Squad the best math that we found was what was that called? And do you remember?
I'm not sure.
Touch math.
Oh yeah, the touch math. Yes.
Oh yeah.
That was the best. That was the most effective on him. But I will tell you, a lot of times that we ran into is that we got really hung up with the picture schedule, because we used to do at the very beginning, he did a picture schedule because he couldn't read the words. But once he learned to read the words, we tried to do schedules with, written or verbal. And because I felt like that he would rely on the pictures, and the pictures in our world don't always exist. So I wanted to make sure he knew how to read as well. So I got real hung up about the picture schedule.
And AI Henry, no new updates on Jack and Lily. No new updates.
No, we're just kind of discussing options. Oh, Neuro said my boy did Kumon. Aunt E's boys or kids did Kumon.
Both my kids did Kumon. They hated it every minute of it, but boy, it helped them so much with math.
Al Henry asks, are there any updates on Jack and Lily? We did it at the beginning, and basically the updates are they are reaching out to neighbors kind of outside of their original search zone. They're going a little further out, and they're asking for camera footage, security, trail cams, that kind of thing, and wanting to know about cars that were in the area even up to 5 days before the kids went missing. So that kind of tells you that what they're thinking is that they're looking at some kind of disappearance maybe before the alleged date, that maybe they were gone before that, or maybe there was some unusual activity around the house or in the neighborhood before that. So they're looking at something along those lines. But that was probably the biggest development over the last day or two.
Well, guys, I'm going to have to sign off.
Okay,
Yeah.
you go ahead and sign off.
Hey, you guys were great today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our mods, and I love the conversation. You guys, and a lot of new people that I hadn't seen before. So we love
new people.
Love meeting the new folks, and
we love our old friends too. And we appreciate all you guys. We appreciate all of our moderators and all of our super stickers from Mandy and Nina, and our super chats from
lots of great support that way today.
I forgot.
Oh, the names?
Yes. Oh, Dreaming of Blue Skies and Sandy Beaches, and all of our renewed members and new members. We appreciate all you guys. And we know you can spend your time anywhere. And if you choose to spend it with us, or we appreciate that you chose to spend it with us. I can't speak today. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. And we are going to wrap it up, and we'll see next time you'll see us. We'll be at the beach. Oh, thank you, Henry.
Thank you, Henry.
Is it AI or Al? I can't tell.
I said AI. I don't know if it's Al. AI or Al.
It's got a little swoosh at the bottom of the. I think that's an I. Might be I.
I don't. Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know.
not sure.
Well, thank you. We'll see you next time. Hopefully, I don't know when we'll be back, but probably sometime next week once we're actually.
Tan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Me Too.
No, if I get my way, I'm going to stream on the way
Alan,
to the beach.
Al Henry.
Al. So
Oh,
is Al.
that's funny. It's Alan. Okay. You said AI, so.
Well, it kind of looked like AI.
Oh, thank you, Butterfly Kisses. Thank you so much. And we're definitely going to bring stuff with us. So we'll see you. If I have my way, I'll stream on the way to the beach. But if I don't get my way, we won't. So you'll know. So have a great weekend, guys. Have a great Memorial Day. And we will see you all soon. Bye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
We'll shine a light for you. We're holding on to hope for you. We remember you. We remember you. Ooh. We're still here for you. We'll shine on